What's up, everybody? Welcome to GameFace, episode 436 on Sifted Games at SIFTD.net. But this is not a normal episode of GameFace. We have a big show for you guys today because today is the 10th anniversary of Sifted. A decade of Sifted. We're celebrating today, but we have much more to do than that. It has been a gigantic week. Today also is the launch day for Nintendo Switch 2. We're going to blow that out right here on GameFace 436. Not only that, yesterday was Sony's basically E3 2025 press conference. We're going to cover that. This Sunday is Xbox's E3 2025 press conference. We're going to cover that. It is the biggest episode of GameFace of 2025, without a doubt. And alongside me to do that, of course, is Matt Keil. And Matt, you're not going to have to ditch the show for a couple minutes to get your Switch 2 because yours just showed up.
Yeah, I did. So
you're in the nick of time.
Yeah, it shipped at like 9 p.m. last night from Best Buy, and they on-tracked it over here, so that was all right.
I mean, you got it pretty early on launch day. That's good. Because sometimes they show up at like 8 or 9 o'clock, and if you're someone who's like, if you're an 8-year-old or whatever, and you're sitting there and you cannot wait for Switch 2, you drive your parents crazy.
Walmart was apparently getting them like way early, and they included like a free Pringles and a free Coke with them. Like they were including like snacks.
Wow.
Which is impressive.
Well, you may be wondering why we started the show a little late today. We've been having problems. This stupid PC that we have here, of course, on the day of the 10th anniversary of Sifted, the PC here decided to act up. So we cannot see you guys right now, unfortunately. The PC is loading up right now. Hopefully it pops up here in the next like 5 or 10 minutes. So we can't see what you guys are saying or doing right now. Everything's.
I can.
You can?
Sorta.
Yeah.
I can't get chat on. There's chat only. There we go.
Yeah, we had problems today with the internet for some reason. Like the web browser wouldn't load anything up, and then Twitter crashed the web browser and crashed the whole PC. So we're trying to load it up right now. We're going to have to do a little bit of some stuff on the fly. But a couple things before we get going. Summer Game Fest starts tomorrow, or Jeff Keighley's big press thing is tomorrow. So we had PlayStation yesterday, Nintendo Switch 2 launched today, Jeff Keighley's thing tomorrow, and then on Sunday we have Xbox. And then Matt, not E3 2025 is kind of over at that point.
I don't know why everybody... Actually, you're the only one who keeps calling it E3.
I am not, actually.
I haven't seen anyone.
Well, I curate from every outlet, and everybody is still calling it that.
Well, that's stupid.
Call it whatever E3. You want. It's a way for people to call it that everyone is agreeing on or whatever.
It's just June.
It's not, though. It's never just been June in the games industry.
Right,
June is the biggest month of the
E3 ended in 2019. This is just like some kind of weird shadow creature.
Well, it's just because people just can't figure out what to call it.
Jeff Keighley would like you to call it Summer Games Fest.
Game Fest, singular.
Oh, is it game?
It is.
I cannot emphasize how much of a worse name than the Game Awards that is. Like,
that's why people are calling it not E3 because nobody wants to call it Summer Game Fest. Because no one's come up with a better name,
right?
Yeah.
And because Sony doesn't want you to think of their Direct as being part of Jeff Keighley's thing.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's like a weird hangover from like, we used to say all this shit in June anyway, so
and now it's just like muscle memory. Yeah. I mean, it still is really the biggest month in games of the year. Like June, there's still more debuts, more games shown off for the first time in June than any other month. December's getting close though with the Game Awards. I mean, it's up there for sure, but I think still June is probably the biggest, busiest month.
I mean, this is the midpoint where you want to like reveal the schedule for the rest of the year, and like this is where you start people being excited about what might happen next year.
Yeah.
Like, it's really June and December are your times to do that, and
I think it's hard to get such a big industry out of the cadence.
Jeff has had more success making himself the face of that December moment than he has with this.
Yeah. But it's like, developers, publishers, they've been in this groove or rut, depending on how you want to describe it, of just having a demo ready in June and then planning all their marketing from that. It's hard it's like turning the Titanic a little bit.
We should just call it June Gloom.
We already have that for LA.
Because that is still here from E3. E3 was always like It was like you'd have beautiful weather, and then the day everybody came into town for E3, it was just like, I was like, I thought LA was sunny all the time. Like, no, not when you're here, assholes.
The good news is the PC desktop just popped up. Now I just got to wait for like all the programs to populate. We should be able to get you guys into the show here pretty quickly.
You got a bunch of gifted subs from Dark Force 256 and
thank you,
Caleb Twilly. Sub.
Thank you guys.
Twitch Prime from
Iviz. Yep.
Level 7 Treasure Train.
I've never even heard of the Treasure Train.
The Treasure Train is beyond the Hype Train.
Oh.
Once you go beyond level 5.
Wow, look at what you guys have done. That's awesome. Okay, the bottom tray's popped up. Now I'm going to try to load up Chrome. We'll see if it takes off or not.
This is the most on-brand thing.
It is. It is, of course, on our 10th anniversary. I mean, the other problem was we couldn't send out promotion, so I had to hand tap out like a message on Twitter and another one on Facebook, but we didn't get to promote to all the places we usually promote to. Plus, we're doing the show on a day we don't normally do the show, which is a Thursday. So we'll see. I'm glad that any of you guys showed up to celebrate with us. We are going to do some fun stuff around the 10th anniversary of Sifted. And we're going to do some fun stuff around the Switch 2. I was actually out in the cut last night around the Switch 2 launch at retailers and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that, obviously. Sony State of Play. We're going to make predictions for Xbox's big event on Sunday. And then that's pretty much it. Like that, I think that's the last big event. Because Ubisoft, for the first time in decades, is not doing anything. Which is pretty crazy. It's a reflection.
What would they show? Like everything's in like some weird limbo.
This is the point where we're seeing sort of the results of everything that's going on at Ubisoft right now.
If they have like one or two things, you throw it in Summer Game Fest and call it a day.
Yeah.
It's a me, Derek D.
What's up, Derek D111?
Dropping a tier 1 sub.
Thank you. That's awesome. Let's see. Our web browser's up.
Vincent says, Treasure Train gives you a discount on gifted subs.
We got it. We're here. Awesome.
Treasure Train gives you a discount on gifted subs once it gets to level 5. I've never seen it before.
Wow. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. We have you guys up now. Just give me 1 second to do a couple things here with the TriCaster to get you guys actually the web browser into the show. But we've got you guys. It looks like it's going to work. So just give me 1 second. Combo level 2 achieved. Combo level... What does this even mean? What is this stuff? We're reaching different stratospheres of Twitch that we've never reached before. It's pretty awesome. Squishy Muffin, does it feel like the long way to fill up to the Switch is now and today feels a bit low-key and meh? We're going to talk about Switch 2. Norx Nessie, thank you for Twitch Prime. This whole show's just got off to a crazy start. It really has, unlike any episode of GameFace before. Before we do get going, I do want to say thanks to all our patrons, of course, but we are supported 100% at patreon.com/sifted. So please head on over there and give us a pledge if you can. We'd really appreciate it. It pretty much keeps the wheels and the wheels greased and everything rolling here at sifted.net. Again, patreon.com/sifted. We'd appreciate that. And if you can't help us with that, if you're watching on YouTube, go down below and help us out with Twitch Prime if you can. And because this is a milestone day, I'm going to ask for something that I never asked for here on GameFace, and that's donations. If you go to donate.sifted.net, if you'd like to just kick us some money to thank us for the last 10 years. A lot of you guys have been getting 10 years of free content from us. Maybe you might want to kick us a little money for thanks. Again, you can go to donate.sifted.net. You can give us any amount. You can use any credit card in like 130 countries. We'd really appreciate it. Every dollar helps for a small business like ours, and we'd really appreciate it. I think with that, Matt, I think we're ready to get going here. Finally, sorry people, it took a while to get going. We're going to kick things off with our Sifted 10th anniversary celebration. The first thing I want to do to celebrate Sifted is I want to thank a bunch of people. And look, I know this might get a little annoying for people who aren't on this list, but a lot of people are that are watching this. But I do want to take the time to thank the people who have kind of been there from the beginning and really made sure that this happened and that it kept happening. Again, sorry if this bothers some of you, but I feel like I want to do it and I need to do it. The first person I need to thank, or the first people I need to thank, are our sponsors. People who are really buttering the bread here at Sifted. Without our sponsors, we probably wouldn't survive. That's just the truth of the matter. And so they are very, very important. You guys should appreciate our sponsors as well. And maybe today, as a thank you to us for 10 years, maybe you go to one of our sponsors and you buy something from one of our sponsors, because that helps as well. That keeps the sponsorships rolling. But I just want to thank LS Cream. LS Cream has been one of our sponsors for years now. And just steadfast, amazing. Stevens Charles is great people. Always happy to work with people like that. Thank you, LS Cream. Soundwizardry.com. They've been with us for a couple years now. I love how they're flexible with us and will let us do fun stuff with their product, like Name That Game Tune. I think that helps with the sponsorship and helps you guys resonate with their brand as well.
And I'm better at it.
Yeah, that's true. There's DeShazer Ryan Realty. They have been a sponsor of ours for years, on and off. They tend to come back in when it's selling season. Obviously, they're a realty company, so they'll come in and sponsor for a while they're really kind of pushing to sell. We appreciate them very much. New York Sneaker Society was a great sponsor for us last year for pretty much most of the year. We appreciate them. Lands of Hyperion, a sifter who was making a small game, sponsored us last year. That was incredible. Leather Spa sponsored us at the end of the year last year for their holiday sales push. Thanks to all of these companies. Again, they are really the ones who are helping us keep the lights on here at Sifted. Now I want to get a little bit more personal about people that I want to thank. First of all, my wife. Matt, you know my wife very well. She has been
my wife.
Yeah, my wife. She has been so patient. So patient. I mean, I went from being an executive at a Fortune 500 company to starting my own little dinky website. And she has been cool with it the whole time. And she's just amazing. And I tell you, without her, this definitely wouldn't have happened. Because she has stood beside me through all the crazy stuff that's happened. When we got robbed, just thing after thing. She's like, I'm there with you, Shane. So she's been the key, really. And then, of course, Brent, who built the site. He is OG number one. What he performed on his own, I cannot believe he built Sifted by himself. Even today, 10 years later, I cannot believe all the features that are in the site that most of you guys never use, by the way, which is really sad. But there's so much stuff that the site does, and that is thanks to Brent. Brent is a genius, I would argue. It is amazing what he can accomplish when he really puts his mind to it. So thank you, Brent. Haven't seen him around the site for a while. If you're watching this, come on back, buddy. We'd like to see you. I know you're busy, too, with your other new company that you've launched as well. And, of course, Matt Keil. Thank you, Matt, for everything, man. Starting out as our TriCaster TD, you were good at that as well. And then when Marcus left, like, you stepped right in, and it was just a smooth transition, like nothing ever happened. Really, the first time you had ever done something like that. Like, you, like me, for a lot of your career, we have been behind the cameras.
Yeah, well, I was on the G4 Feedback podcast a fair amount until they stopped letting me do it.
Yeah.
Because they said an hour a week was interfering with the production. It was like they didn't want any more people becoming talent.
That was a weird thing that we don't really talk about a lot here on GameFace. Is when you work in production, there's this weird thing between talent and production.
Well, G4 did not understand that like personality was what was going to differentiate all these different outlets from each other.
Yeah.
And like Game Trailers already understood that. Giant Bomb really understood that. G4
One Up even understood it.
Oh, One Up
understood. The One Up show was kind of like
it.
groundbreaking at the time. Yeah,
One Up Yours was pretty much the whole deal there.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it. Like Steven Spielberg watched that podcast, and they just did not emphasize anything about it, and that was part of why that network crumbled.
Yeah, the reason it happens is because talent gets paid so much more money than people like Matt and I.
Yeah, but that was a good time. And so I was like, I was like, oh, I'd like to do that more. So here we are.
It prepped you for this, yeah. And thank you, Matt, just for everything, for opening your home multiple times to do the show. Like, you've just been incredible. Like,
it's just, as long as I just have to go upstairs to do it.
It does make your life a little easier. But I still appreciate it very much, man. Like, I can't even tell you. I love you, Matt. Thank you for everything. Who else we got here? Michael Pachter and Linda Pachter and the Pachter twins, the entire Pachter family, who let me in their home once every few months.
All the factors.
Seriously. They have an amazing family. Pachter, you can tell that Pachter is a really good person because it trickles down.
Thank you to the boat.
Right. Yeah, the boat. We did the 100th episode of Pachter Factor on his boat. He's just incredible. He's a really good person. Like, I don't know if that comes through in the show, but he's just awesome. And I just appreciate him doing the show. He doesn't have to, obviously. He's crazy rich. Like, I really think for the most part, he enjoys it, but I think he just really does it to, like, help me. So I really love Michael Pachter, his entire family. Next up, Vincent. You see him in the chat all the time. Here, he was our curator for a really long time before I couldn't really afford to pay him anymore. He has done so many awesome things. He turned into a producer. He's producing content for us. He produced a couple shows while he was curating. Thank you, Vincent. You're here every time. Your work in the chat is incredible. You correcting us live on the show helps the show be better. Thank you, Vincent, for everything you've done. I appreciate you, man. Sam Ruocco, our old TriCaster TD, I was just texting back and forth with him a couple days ago. He's in Boston and just rolling. Like, he went out there and he just became like a TV god. It's like he rolled in from LA and they're like, you're from LA? Just like the carpet just rolled out for him. So Sam, our old TriCaster TD, he's doing great, if any of you guys are wondering. Mitch Sikorsky, he worked with us for a while. He was the TD for a while. He worked on a show with me called SIFTD HQ for a while. Now he works at Naughty Dog. Thank you, Mitch, for everything you did for SIFTD. It was great working with you for a while we did. Jared Ravens, our other TriCaster TD, he was amazing. I still text with him about football all the time. He's a big Chiefs fan, and he keeps rubbing it in my face that the Chiefs keep winning. Not last year, though. He's good people, too. Jared, a little known person on SIFTD called Tokyo. You may not remember him, but he used to produce a show for us called The Big Six. There was like a daily news roundup, and he would just crank those things out and publish, and I would just publish them. And then finally, Khalib Twalai, who has been doing a lot of work for us behind the scenes on the website. He also works with a bunch of our sponsors. He has been great for us. He's done so many great things for us. He is truly selfless. I appreciate him very much as well. So that's kind of like the golden circle of people who have really helped SIFTD like get to where it is and survive through the 10 years. And now it's time to thank you guys, the patrons. First of all, thanks to all of you. By now, you guys have to know that when I say that, I really mean it. Like, you guys mean the world to me. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. It would have ended in like a week. So it still blows my mind sometimes that people are giving us money to cover video games, like out of their pocket. So thanks to our patrons. However, I did pull our top 10 patrons, the 10 people who have given us more money since our Patreon launch than anybody else. And I'm just going to read them off here, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate these people. First up, Johnny Hurricane. You know Johnny Hurricane. Johnny was one of our first patrons who actually was part of the Pachter Factor E3 party tier, which was a lot of money every month. And he came to E3 and hung out with Matt and I for like hours and hours at Pachter's party, made a bunch of connections. He is our #1 patron of all time. Next up is Hans-Peter Hildebrand. He's not far behind Johnny Hurricane. He has been amazing in his support for us. Then there's a patron who we lost because I think it might have had something to do with Russia and Ukraine. A guy named Vladimir Mikhailovsky. He was pledging tons of money every month. And then when the Ukraine-Russia thing broke out, like, he disappeared. So, Vladimir, wherever you are, man, if you're still watching this show, thank you. I haven't forgotten what you did for us. Justin Horman, where are you at? There he is. There's Justin. You're amazing, dude. You sent me a couple controllers. You sent Matt a controller. No, he's and a bunch of other stuff. He always sends us birthday gifts and like awesome things. Thank you, Justin. You're a rock star. We appreciate you so much. James Hudson is another one of our best patrons. Sven Walleman is another one. Sub Sam Jam. He just changed his name from Suburban Samurai to that. He's been along for the ride. Jeff Lynn is one of our top 10 patrons. Thank you, Jeff. You're an awesome person. I've gotten to know you over the years. Daniel Rosencrantz, thank you so much. And then finally, Suicide King, who is actually the owner of DeShazer Ryan Realty. Doug is great people, been a great sponsor, been a great support for us for all 10 years. So I just want to say thanks to everybody I listed and everybody that I didn't. Everybody in chat who gives us your Twitch Prime every week. You guys are awesome. Again, without you guys, without that money, we would not survive. So thank you. I can't say it enough. I don't know how else I can say it to tell you how much I feel it in my heart. But just thanks. It's just really been an incredible run. 10 years. It didn't seem like 10 years, Matt, to me until yesterday. I started scrolling through. We have a page on SIFTD. That's all our original content. It's like everything. And then we have pages for each show as well. We have one page that's just all our content. And I just started scrolling. And it took me like 2 hours to get to the bottom of that scroll. It was mind-blowing what we've done. It really is how much content we've created. And it never hit me until I saw the totality of it in that endless scroll. I was just like, holy crap, man. It is really amazing, the amount of content that we've created with the crew that we have. I started going through the shows that we've launched here in 10 years. It's incredible how many shows we've launched. And the truth of the matter is, you guys pretty much rejected them all. It's like, at the end of the day, what we're doing now is all people care about. They want a podcast. They want Pactor because he's a different angle on the finance stuff. They want to be able to talk to me in Q&A, and they want to be able to talk to you and I during GameFace. And that's really what you guys want. But here's all the work that I have done. Here are all the shows that we have launched on Sifted since it launched. GameFace Freestyle, which was like our like informal version of GameFace. Do you remember that?
Yeah, where we didn't wear the ties.
Yeah. Pactor Factor, obviously. Pactor Factor Live, which we just launched. Ask Shane Anything. Dossier. Our live reviews, which were at one time called Deep Dives. We actually kind of repurposed the Deep Dive for that. Our Game Evals. Our Entirely Too Many Prediction series, where we would predict stuff before big events. The Grind, which is like this solo show that I would do when Matt was out of town or couldn't do a show, that I would replace GameFace with. There was Geif, which a lot of you guys really love, which is like this little show where I would go and find all these crazy Japanese game trailers and cut them all together in a fun way. There was Deep Dive, as I mentioned, Play Views, which are like video previews mixed with Let's Play segments. We've done a bunch of, we still do those every once in a while. There's Spoiled, which is like our spoiler podcast. There's the Sifted Video Game Fantasy League, the world's first ever video game fantasy league. Our Game of the Year awards. Old is New, which was a show where we had a noob play a franchise for the first time. This is insane. Bad Dudes was a show where I played against the final boss in a game and reviewed the final boss in the game. We did that for a while. Sifted Countdown, which is our countdown show. Beat Shane, which was a tier on our Patreon where if you pledged enough, you could play me in a game and beat me, and most of you guys did. Today's High Score, which was a call-in show where I would come in every Saturday and have you guys call in through Skype and Zoom and get you guys into the show. We did that for a really long time. New Games This Week was a show that we did where we rounded up all the games that were just announced that week. Platinum Journey we signed when we first launched. We did like 6 or 7 episodes before he decided to do his own thing. Service Call was a review show for live service games. The Big Six, as I mentioned earlier, which was a news roundup that Tokyo did. Our Hangouts, which are, this is insane. Our Hangouts, which are our live stream branding basically for our live gameplay. Editorials by me called Boss Fight that are written. New Dimension, where we basically show how a game went from 2D to 3D. Vincent worked on that and did a great job on that. Power Rankings, we only did that for 4 months because it was a nightmare to do and you guys didn't care, where I looked at basically the hype ratings for games as they changed over each month depending on the media that was released for them. Sifted HQ, which was like a show that was like 20 minutes long that had a bunch of segments in it, like Turned Up Tuesday, Noobs, Closet Raiders, Survival Guides, and Shane's Shit List. So that show had another 5 or 6 shows in it. Good Morning Gaming was a podcast that I did every day for almost a year straight. It would be up in the morning when you guys woke up. 3 Night Weekend, another podcast that I did where I would invite luminaries onto the show and they would talk to me about their career. Then I'd ask them what they're playing, what they're watching, and what they're drinking. Pre-vals, which were like, if we get like early code, but they wouldn't let us review it, we'd do like these pre-vals. And then another show that Vincent worked on called Game Pass or Fail. So those are the shows that we have launched in 10 years. And I'm just going to tell you, if we had the resources and the manpower to produce all those shows on a regular basis, we would be wiping the mat with every other publication. I guarantee it. But we don't. So it's like, I do these shows, I bust my butt on them for as long as you guys watch them. When you stop watching them, I stop doing them, and then we go on to the next. And I just keep trying over and over all these ideas, all these concepts, and y'all don't care about any of them at the end of the day. That's really the truth. All those ideas were all rejected, pretty much.
Platinum Journey was okay.
Platinum Journey was great.
But picked up.
Yeah.
Because he still does that.
He does, yeah. Yeah.
Part of it is, I think, again, it's just a resource thing, but like if you had more hosts, like, different perspectives.
I'm tired of being on everything. Like, truth be told, for the amount of shows that we produce, we do have a lot of voices. Like, there's 3 of us in 4 shows, so I try to keep myself out of more stuff that I'm doing right now, but it's hard. So, because you got to pay people to do everything. So, if I had the money, I would do it. So, anyway, after looking at all this, I was like, all right, I've been going after it. Like, whatever happens with Sifted, it's not because I didn't give it my all. That's all I can say, man. I have been going after it for 10 years straight. 10 years straight of like 60, 70, 80-hour weeks is what I've been doing to keep this thing going. So, anyway, it's really crazy. I know that's when I realized it had been 10 years. When I looked at this list of shows, I was like, oh, okay. But otherwise, it's just like you're just so like you're on such a squirrel wheel that you don't ever have time to look back. It's like, okay, that show's done. Let me cut it up, render it, post it. What's next? Like a lot of times while you guys are watching the new GameFace, I'm already working on another show and I've forgotten about the episode of GameFace from the day before. Like that's just the way it is, and that's how you don't have a sort of a gauge for how much time is passing. It's just like what's next, what's next, what's next. You don't have time to reflect, and I think that's where you kind of lose time a lot of times. So,
well, you don't really watch, your own shows very often.
Yeah, like
I never watched X-Play when you had to be on the next thing. You had to be the next. Sometimes I look at the comments on the GameFace stuff, and I'm like, what? And like, even when they have people like at me on, I was like,
did I say that?
I guess we did talk about that on that show. All right. Like,
yeah. Yep.
It's 3 hours. It's like a lot happens.
I do usually.
Mentally.
I'm going to start listening to GameFace regularly because we're going to talk here in a minute about some of the changes that are coming. And one of the changes is that we're going to do a lot more shorts. Mm-hmm. It's a no-brainer. It is literally the only way we add audience to our subscribers on YouTube. We could publish this episode of GameFace, one of the best we'll ever do, guaranteed. It will never draw people like shorts do. So that's a big focus for us going forward. I'm going to get to some of the changes coming up in a minute. But before I do that, though, I put out a call to people, and I was like, hey, if you want to drop us a message about the first 10 years of SIFTD, good or bad, just send it to us or whatever. And I was pleasantly surprised that some people did it. I thought I was going to put it out there and like one person would do it and I have to bail on it. That was not the case at all. In fact, a bunch of you guys did it, and I put it all together in a video, and here it is right now.
How are you, Shane? How are you, Matt? What the crack with you lads? Hope you're getting on well. Just came in here to say happy 10 years to SIFTD. I've been here a long time, man. I've been here for the lonely E3. Jeez, it was very lonely, huh? I was here for Matt when he used to be the lad in the corner, over in the corner, twiddling away. I was here for the robbery. Well, I wasn't here for the robbery, otherwise I would have ratted out them fellas. What else was I here for? I was here for Mitch in the shower. Sorry I started talking about Mitch in the shower. But maybe he wasn't in the shower, He could have been dirty. It is LA, I've heard stories. Stories about LA now. Anyway, 10 years, sure, it's great. Not many game sites can say 10 years anymore, sure, they're mostly gone. Huh? Anyway, me Switch 2 has arrived now, so I better go play Mommy Jugmilker 6. It's great crack. Happy 10 years. You are winner. One more thing. That plumber fella with the dodgy moustache, keep an eye out for him. He's not very nice. He once shot me down with a fireball, right in the face. So don't trust him, keep an eye out for him. He's a dodgy boy. Blech.
Hey Sifters, this is Neo JD. Just wanted to wish Shane and Matt and everyone that's ever been involved with SIFTD congratulations on making it 10 years. I've been watching Shane since the GT days, bonus round and everything with Pactor. Shout out to Pactor. Shout out to Marcus. Miss you, Marcus. Hope everything is well. Shout out to everybody that's helped. Mitch, Vincent, everybody, everybody in the comments. It's always good when you recognize people because they've been around for so long. I've been around since the beta and just trying to support Shane, watching GameFace. It's just one of the best podcasts out there. Always having fun, laughing with you guys. I think Shane and Matt are both not only nice guys, but some of the smartest guys in the business. I think Matt, pound for pound, might be one of the best people to listen to when it comes to making investments or, trying to figure out which game is worth your time. I don't think Matt gets enough recognition for that. And Shane, you've always been so hardworking, man. Just hope everything works out for you. Fan of you for life, man. So congratulations on the 10 years and always gonna be watching, always gonna be supporting. Can't wait to see what's next. And wow, Switch 2 already. Oh boy.
Hey Sifters, Jordan here from South Africa. Just wishing Shane and Matt a happy anniversary on an amazing run. I've been a patron since day one. I love the content. Obviously can't catch a lot of live streams with the time difference here, but always make an effort to watch all the streams and pack. And yeah, I just love everything that everyone does, and I'm a big fan of all the amazing content that Shane tries to put out. And yeah, I'll give you guys a little look at South Africa throughout the video, but here's hoping for more years of amazing content from Shane. Thank you, Shane and Matt, for all the weekends and evenings you guys have entertained us, and yeah, I can't wait to continue this journey with you guys.
So, happy 10th anniversary, Sifted. I don't know if I've ever survived 10 years of anything, except my marriage. Yes, I've survived my marriage for more than 10 years. It's absolutely awesome that some older, wiser, and uncensored voices are still out there talking about video games. So to you, Matt, and to everybody else, I wish you all the best. Here's to 10 more if the world is still spinning for that long.
Hey Shane, hey Matt, and hey SIFTD community. Just wanted to congratulate you guys on a wonderful accomplishment. 10 amazing years. Wow. We've come a long way, guys, and I say that because as a community member since day one, it's been an amazing ride. I appreciate the adult discussion, I appreciate the community, and just for the record, this is AJ the Legend on the site. I look forward to another 10 amazing years. Kudos to you guys, and cheers, yo. Go Sifted.
As you all know, SIFTD's been around 10 years. There's a picture of me back there 10 years ago. Here's me now. Notice the hair is not the same color and the glasses have changed. Yeah, SIFTD. I gotta say, SIFTD was a gift to me because, I started my podcasting career on game trailers, and, that website got purchased, and Pack Attack, the brand ID, went with the purchaser. I believe Game Trailers is a skeleton, if not gone. I mean, it's barely doing anything. Shane left that and started up SIFTD. And what Shane's trying to offer all of you is some really cool, interesting, curated content and a way to keep up with stuff you care about on SIFTD. Anyway, 10 years of this, and I can tell you, I look at Shane, he's a shadow of his former self. He's down to about 100 pounds because he can't afford to eat, and he really could use the support. But he's done a phenomenal job. He works all the time putting this content together. He is sacrificing his goodwill. He's sacrificing his lifestyle in order to provide really great content for you guys. So it's great that you are on SIFTD. You've been on for 10 years. Let's hope we get another 10 years out of Shane. He's getting old too. He hasn't turned gray yet. But let's support SIFTD. SIFTD needs your support. Again, I understand if you don't want to sign up as a Patreon patron because you just got other things to spend your money on. There's no excuse whatsoever not to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. So please do that. I'm happy that SIFTD is giving me a home, and I am hopeful. I probably won't last 10 more years, but I'm hopeful that you guys are interested in what I have to say for at least the next few years. As long as you're interested in what I have to say, I'm going to come back here because Shane and SIFTD have provided me a home. So appreciate the effort for the last 10 years, Shane. I am wishing you health and success for the next 10 years. And if we can get enough Amazon Prime members to link their accounts, maybe you can go 20 more years. So link those accounts, please. You have no idea. It feels like you're doing nothing. He gets $250. Do it every month. He gets $30. Do it every year for the next 10 years. He gets $300. So please remember to do that. Thank you guys for being patrons on SIFTD, for watching SIFTD, for watching Pack to Factor, and appreciate all of my fellow babies who have been around watching Pack Attack before that. I've been doing this literally 19 years, 10 here, and I guess 9 years on game trailers. And I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. My thoughts are probably not worth what they used to be, but as long as you got crotchety old guys like me, Sessler, Marcus Beer, we're going to keep trying to entertain you guys. So thanks for being on SIFTD. Thank you guys very much for your support, and please remember to link your accounts. Congratulations, SIFTD.
So there you go. There's the video that we put together from all your comments. Thanks to everybody who sent something in. I think Jordan we must have said something really bad about South Africa at some point, because he definitely was trying to make a point that South Africa is a great place to live. We know that. Like, I don't know what we said before that made you think that.
It's probably related to Elon.
Yeah, maybe.
he's not your best ambassador.
Yeah. Sneaky, very creative, man. You did a great job. I appreciate everybody who sent in anything for that. And look, if you're watching this, you're like, dang, I didn't know about that. That's a little bit my fault. I probably should have messaged it a little bit better in last week's show and mentioned it during the week. Basically, you guys had like 3 days to get the stuff in. So if you didn't get it in, it's no big deal. It's cool. I totally understand. But I do appreciate the people who took the time to record those messages and send them. Thank you very much. Seeing those heartfelt messages from people really meant a lot to me. So thank you guys for going the extra mile, taking the extra minute to do it. And I think it also ended up being pretty entertaining. Sneaky is a pretty creative guy there. I think you guys have all started to realize. He also, if you guys haven't noticed, he did the video intro for Name That Game. His name is in there, actually. But you may not have noticed it, but he created that for us as well. So I think it shows you that a lot of our audience are creatives, kind of just like us as well. Let's check in with you guys now that we got the chat working. Thank you, Towley 1985. Wow, there are so many gift subs going on. It's nuts. Thanks, guys. Fire Native says we love you, Pack. He loves you guys too, man. He really does. Like, I don't know how to express it to you guys, but he does. He really appreciates you guys. JRevic7, getting so nostalgic at what Shane has built. This is really special. Again, like, it really is. It's really crazy. Like, it's taken a lot of work to get here, but I think we have created something special. And if you're watching this and you're sick of dealing with all the idiots and the jerks on the internet, or if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to be a part of a community of other adults that love games as much as you do, head to sifted.net and find your new home. Everyone's giving AJ props for his Rams wall, because that, I mean, I'm a hardcore Steelers fan. I don't have anything like that for the Steelers. Someday if I own a home, I probably will, but in my apartment, I do not.
Yeah, every once in a while you see someone has something like that, and you're like, I don't know if I like anything that much.
Right.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't talk with a room full of Transformers.
Right, I think you do.
Still.
Jerry Vic7 says Adam was a GameFace co-host or a guest at one point. He's been on a bunch of stuff we've done. He's never been an official co-host, though. That's only been Matt.
He filled in a number of times, though.
Yeah, he stepped in. Like, I think we did I think I did a grind with him one time, and maybe a GameFace freestyle. I think maybe one of them.
And he definitely filled in like once or twice when I was doing something else that week or something.
Yeah.
Like back when we didn't do it in my house.
Yeah.
So it could still happen.
Right. Lesteven, what's up, Mr. LS Cream? Thank you for gifting all those tier 1 subs to our crew. That's awesome, man. Thank you. That's great. Like I said, LS Cream back on the prowl, man. They're ready to go. And they ended up getting great news from all the stuff that we were talking about. So congratulations, Lestev Ed. Fire Native, Matt and Shane are the only two guys I listen to for gaming. Wow. That's very flattering, but I would recommend he probably listens to at least somebody else.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't.
It's true. I don't either. I don't listen to any gaming podcast.
I barely listen to us.
Luke TG1, thank you for those bits, man. That is awesome. You're an OG, man. You've been around since the beginning of SIFTD as well. What else we got in here before we get into the rest of the show? Khalib Twalai, I should say that the new live reviews are great. I love watching those. Thank you, man. Those are a lot of work. That is the most work I maybe have done on any piece of content. It literally takes like 2.5 days to edit those. And that is like 8 or 9 hours of editing a day. So I wish they were doing more views, because it's so much work. This is what happens, though. It's like I get to the point where I have to start deciding if the time is worth the payoff. And when you do stuff like that and like your metrics don't go up, it's very easy to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Because believe me, editing a piece of content for 3 days, I don't even want to tell you what that's like. It is work. It is nothing fun about it. Swan Senpai.
I do enjoy like when things like that happen, and like the person like that had to do it is all like, I follow a movie YouTuber, and he made this like really elaborate video about trains and movies. He shot it on a train. He did stuff in Europe for that, and it's his lowest viewed video of the last like 10 years. And every single video now, it's been like 5 or 6 videos since that. Every single he's like, but God forbid I put a train in a video. Like he's so mad that nobody watched the train video.
Yeah. Swan Senpai says, don't say we didn't care. A lot of those shows I really liked, as did others. I mean, to be fair, you guys, for the most part, you did like them and you did watch the shows. But, you know, a lot of times we launch new shows with the idea of growing the audience. We hope that it's an idea that will strike a chord with everybody. And they'll be like, wow, what's that little gaming website that did that awesome video? And next thing you know, they're a patron. Like, that stuff isn't happening. The conversion to...
Yeah, you're always looking for the American Ninja Warrior.
Pretty much. That saved G4. Yeah. Yep.
And then they just took it from us.
Yep.
No, we're just going to put that on NBC. Fuck you. Yeah.
Justin's talking about getting sucked into invisible walls because of Bloodworth. That's awesome. Blitches says, all I need is GameFace news and industry inside baseball talk. Yeah, one thing I want to say, though, is that, like, sort of the overarching theory around SIFTD's content is that you don't need to go anywhere else. You can, and in some cases I would recommend maybe hearing other voices and other opinions. That's totally cool. But I want to make sure that our patrons, if they just consume our content, get everything that they need. So between GameFace with Matt and I, where we're reviewing the big games, talking about the big news of the week, Pactor handles the financial side of the industry, which nobody else does, by the way. No other website has a guy like Pactor doing that. And then our other content just kind of fills in the gaps. So we do dossier, so you know what games are coming out every month. So the idea is that even with our limited resources, we concentrate on content that if you watch it all, you're good. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can, obviously. So that's sort of how we do things. And when we work on shows that don't get a great response or a sustained response, and it's not growing our audience in any way, then we have to start making some tough decisions around that stuff. The Big Smoke 82, GameFace is something I look forward to every week. I like the early morning podcast you used to do, Good Morning Gaming. I enjoyed doing that. But it got to where you guys weren't watching it anymore. And I was cool doing it if you guys were just watching it, but the numbers for you guys started falling off, and it was a grind. I was working on that show. And in fact, I actually quit that show because my wife told me to. Because I was working on that show until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night every night, and we wouldn't get dinner or hang out at all. And my wife was like, okay, I've been really cool with all this other stuff and the crazy hours you work. This is where I'm drawing the line. Like, if we can't have a dinner and sit down and talk every night for a couple hours, then it's going too far. And the results of the show weren't big enough for me to argue. I couldn't be like, but it's building our audience. And so I decided to stop it. So there's a lot of things that go into how things happen and what happens at SIFTD. Talca 81, 1981, thank you for the bits. That's awesome. AJ, thank you for the bits. That's awesome. Retro Modern Gamer doom scrolling. It wasn't doom scrolling. It was awesome scrolling all the way down to the bottom of that. Try it sometime. And I think maybe you'll have a new appreciation for what we've been doing here on SIFTD, if you don't already. Threadzilla, thank you, man. You've been a supporter all along. So thank you. I appreciate that. Marcus Beer, Retro Modern. I probably should have mentioned Marcus. He did do, the first 10 episodes?
Like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned him. But he actually was out of town this week, so I couldn't get him to do anything with us for the 10th anniversary, unfortunately. He's on a trip to, Seattle or something like that. So I tried to get him involved, but he just couldn't do it. Squishy Muffin, you can find a G4 Feedback podcast on YouTube. So some of those episodes are up there still.
Yeah, I believe that's the one. That's probably my favorite thing. If it's the one I'm thinking of, we had an argument about Dragon Age versus Mass Effect, and Steven Johnson says that he just likes Dragon Age better because he finds it easier to sort of suspend his disbelief with dragons and fireballs and wizards, and he just has a much harder time buying spaceships and lasers. And I said, Steven, spaceships and lasers exist.
They're real.
You don't have to buy them; they're here. And that was.
Maybe you don't need other people's opinions. Just stick with GameFace.
Every once in a while, it was fun to just bring the house down on someone in those things. That and I can't. It was Devil May Cry 4, I think, where they introduced that one girl. Is her name just Lady?
I think it is,
and she's just barely wearing clothing on a bridge, and Abby called her Tits on a Bridge because she couldn't remember her name, and so that just became her name, and that became shorthand for just needless sex stuff in games. And then they did the Tits on the Bridge thing, and it's just so that was my other favorite running gag.
That's great,
and I love the fact that somewhere out there Steven Spielberg had to listen to that.
Yeah, that's great. J. Reed Vic, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. What else we got? I think that's it. That's all we got in the chat anyway. Ultimate Brent is Ultimate Pal. He's good people. I've worked with Brent for a really long time. And that's right. Mediocre Monday was a stream that Brent did for us when we first launched, and that was a show I forgot to bring up because I didn't launch it. Yeah.
If I didn't do it, it didn't happen.
And then, well, I just talking about shows that I launched, but, and then Threadzilla's talking about Brent Adams from Epic Battle Cry and Epic Battle Axe, him and DK and all that crew. We worked with them for a really long time. So, well, I know we lost a lot of the early chat because we didn't get our PC up in time. But if anybody gave us Twitch Prime, I think Matt mentioned a couple people, or if
I got
you gave
everyone
us,
I could see.
if you gave us any well wishes or anything like that, thank you. I'm sorry I missed it and I couldn't thank you on the show, but thank you very much. Jay Rid says, I'll remember you shouting out the Madden documentary I pitched in on. Man, I'll always, that's the thing. I will always help you guys however I can. Don't forget that, like, when we first launched Sifted, I let you guys put your podcasts on Sifted. Mm-hmm. Literally, there was like 4 or 5 Sifted user podcasts that were going every week for years. And you guys just stopped doing them. Like, I don't know why, but you did. And so obviously they're not on the site anymore. But like, I'm all about pumping you guys up and girls. Like, if you guys are working on stuff, send me an email. I'll help you however I can, man. This is all about us pulling the rope together. I'm a small business. Some of you guys are running small businesses. We all need to help each other to be a success.
Which does remind me, another short film I produced went up online yesterday.
It did?
One of Farrell's, Any Sign at All.
Oh, really? Where can people find it?
It's on YouTube. Just search Any Sign at All. I'll try to put a link in the comments.
Yeah, please do.
Search Any Sign at All short film, and it probably should come up. It's not very huge. It's on the channel is like a distributor for like shorts called like Omelette or something. It's like OMELETE or something like that, or Omelette or something like. I can't remember. I don't know. But that's the if you see Any Sign at All on a channel whose name looks like omelet, that is what it is. I helped her with the sound and stuff on that one.
Okay.
We got the guy who did Whiplash.
Oh, awesome.
So it sounds pretty good.
I bet it does.
And it stars a girl from an actress from Bunheads.
Okay.
In it, if you've ever seen that show.
Awesome.
Which I have not, but apparently it's quite good.
Don't forget to put it in the comments. Scorpio's Fine, it says, what does the name Urbanity ring any bells? It does. How do you know about Urbanity?
I don't know.
I think
it sounds familiar, but I don't know.
So
why.
Urbanity at one time was going to be the name of my book that I'm going to eventually write and publish. But I think maybe it was my username on what's that meme site that like nobody goes to anymore? It was just like
Bark?
No, it was literally
Something
just
awful?
like all little images and memes, and people could write little small blogs. I can't remember the name of it anymore. Yes. I think my Tumblr was named Urbanity, and that's where I announced that I was coming back with Sifted. Was on because at the time Tumblr was like the thing.
Tumblr was bigger than
like 10 years ago it was a thing, not anymore. I can't believe you remember Urbanity. That's nuts.
I was going either Tumblr or You're the Man Now, dog.
Yeah, that's another
good older.
One. Squishy says in the first episode you state there would be a guest every episode. Is that still the goal? Yeah, that did not happen because it became impossible.
It's a lot of work.
It's just so much legwork and getting people to show up on time or having a connection that worked. Like you'd bring them on and their video would just be all crap. Their audio would be laggy. Like
you never know what you're going to run into, and you can't just have Bloodworth do it every time.
No,
he's the reliable one. So
yep. So yeah, we just had to bail on it eventually. Supermaster Gamer, thank you for Twitch Prime.
Also, so many people stopped living in LA.
That's true.
Like we had a lot of people move away.
I'll be honest with you, 85% of my friends in LA are gone. Mm-hmm. All the people I used to hang around with have left. There's no one left.
Erebus Jones got it. Omeletto.
Omeleto.
OMELETO. It's look for Any Sign at All on that channel.
Okay. Bushy Wookie, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's a great username. Anything else before we get going here? All right. I think that's it. All right, and now it's time for us to discuss some details about Sifted going forward. This is going to take very long, but there's a couple things that we are going to tweak. The first thing I should say is that most of these changes are not going to go into effect until July 1st because obviously we're supported by Patreon, and everything is kind of gated by the month turning over. So the first thing that we're going to change about Sifted going forward is that there are no more 3-day free trials. And they should have been gone a long time ago. Like we initially gave people a free 3 days to try out the site because we didn't have a lot of content yet. and people couldn't tell if they wanted to subscribe or not. But now there's literally, like I said, an endless doom scroll of content. People can tell whether they want to subscribe or not without the 3-day trial. And what was happening is people would sign up for the 3-day trial, watch GameFace, and then come back next week, sign up for another 3-day trial, watch GameFace, and we just were tired of getting ripped off. Like, we put up with it for a long time. It's actually gone already. The 3-day trial has already been removed. Here's kind of the big one. Beginning on July 1st, the monthly minimum charge to get all our content early is going to go up $1 to $5 a month. So after 10 years, we are increasing our monthly price by $1, from $4 to $5. And maybe that doesn't seem like a big deal. It could be a big deal for us if our Patreon grows. That extra dollar can make a big difference for us. But in all honesty, where we are right now, we can't really afford to keep going up with operations at the pricing that we have right now. So 10 years, going up $1, I think that's about as good as it gets for something like this. I understand.
It's going to make your total Patreon thing every month back to divisible by 5, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I would be looking for a $6 tier somewhere if I had a $4 tier in mind.
Well, there's still a $7 tier, the Ask Shane Anything tier. And honestly, the vast majority of you guys are pledging at that tier already. So I know a lot of our big time fans, they don't care. They're already pledging way more than $4 anyway. But we do have a lot of people that are just right at that $4 tier, and that is going to go up $1 a month. So
even Marvel Comics had to become 35 cents at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like, I hate to do this right now because the way the economy is and everything, it's not a great time. But
but everybody has to do it now.
Yeah. So anyway, we're still way cheaper than pretty much every gaming Patreon.
You know, last time I paid less than $10 for a sandwich.
I know. Or a coffee or whatever. So anyway, on July 1st, it will go up. I believe on Patreon, it should automatically start charging you that extra $1. I have to look into that, actually. We'll talk about that on next week's episode once I have more information about that. I think it should automatically charge it. If you're on our old subscription system at SIFTD.net, we will adjust it so automatically you'll start paying the $5. Obviously, if you're not into this, you can just cancel your Patreon at patreon.com/sifted, or you can cancel your subscription at SIFTD.net. I'm not going to judge. Everybody's got their own financial things going on. I totally understand that. But just the truth of the matter is if we want to survive, we can't survive on $4 a month anymore. We just can't. So hopefully you guys understand. I'm glad that I'm not seeing people freaking out in the chat. People are saying totally fair, in line with the competition, inflation.
It's about the same price 10 years ago with inflation factored in.
Right. So I'm encouraged to see this. Now we'll see what happens when all the people who aren't live on this just has to be done. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't do this unless I felt like we had to do it. Another thing we're going to do, starting July 1st, is we're going to start hiding our monthly Patreon total. I don't see any good coming out of having your Patreon total public.
Most of the people I follow do that.
Nobody has it public anymore. We've left ours up there. I think sometimes it may discourage people from pledging if they're like, oh, they're not doing great. But the thing is it doesn't tell the whole picture. We have all these other revenue streams. So our Patreon is a big bulk of our money, but we also have Twitch Prime, we have YouTube ad revenue, we have some other streams that come in. So I think when people look at that, they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't become a part of this. It may not last or whatever. I don't want to sell people a false narrative on what's going on with the site. So we are going to hide the Patreon total beginning July 1st. Also, keep in mind, I'm being completely transparent with you guys about this stuff. A lot of people would just do it and not explain it to you why they did it. And then the final change that we're making that will affect you guys is we are shortening the exclusivity period a little bit. So GameFace right now, you guys have been getting a 4-day advance. We're going to cut it down to 3 days. So it's just 1 day. That way we can put the show up on a Saturday instead of like a Sunday morning. And also the content that Matt and I go over in the show will be a lot more fresh. That extra day can make a big difference. So GameFace, 3-day window you get now with the show instead of 4 days. And we're going to do the same thing with Ask Shane Anything. We've been giving you guys a week for that. We're going to cut that down to 3 days as well. Pactor Factor, staying the same. It's still going to be a week lead time. All that is tied into Twitch Prime and people getting those 3 episodes on twitch.tv/SiftedGames. By the way, if you guys don't know that, if you subscribe to Twitch Prime, you get Pactor Factor day and date at twitch.tv/SiftedGames. So we don't want to mess up that whole process. That's going great. Our numbers the last 2 months in a row have gone up for Twitch Prime, so thank you guys so much. Anytime we see something going up, yes. So anyway, that's it. Those are the big changes that are coming on July 1st. Looking at the chat, it doesn't seem like too many of you guys are too angry about that. And Swan Senpai says something that like I've been reckoning with for a long time that it's hard for me to accept, is that most of you guys are not pledging because of the exclusivity period. You're pledging because you just want to support. And it's been very hard for me to get over that mentally for whatever reason.
That is pretty standard.
I know. But for whatever reason, I keep telling myself, no, I need to make sure they're getting their money's worth. I need to make sure they're getting their money, and they don't care.
No.
So there's a lot of times I think I'm too nice. Like, I think about our customers maybe too much at times, and I think maybe sometimes it hurts our business. So anyway,
I think everything I follow, like sometimes the only ones that have an exclusivity thing are the ones that have a actual like investment stake in Nebula.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put their stuff up like 2 weeks or 3 weeks early on Nebula, and then it comes to YouTube later. Everyone else you're just literally supporting.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
And then before we move on, I just want to show you guys what Sifted looked like when it first launched, just to remind you, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, that website, it hasn't changed at all since Shane launched it. Oh yes it has. It is night and day what it was when we first launched it. This is like the demo that I did on a live stream, basically, where I talked about how the ratings worked. And then eventually, we'll get to the homepage here. Eventually. Look at the homepage. This is what the homepage on Sifted looked like when we launched.
Mm-hmm.
It was only a 2-column sift instead of a 3-column sift. I think that makes a big, big difference. They were all kind of uniform in a grid, instead of kind of being offset by different image sizes. You can see the nav. Look at the nav that we had there instead of what we have now. But that was Sifted when it launched 10 years ago. So you can see, like, its change is often slow, but when you look back 10 years, you realize, damn, like we've done a lot of updates, changes, fixes, and improvements to the website. Now the next goal is to get an app. We should have had an app a long time ago. That's a really big goal.
I thought you said nap.
Oh, that too. Swan Senpai says, sorry for the spam. Will YouTube be increasing for us over there too? No. So that's the thing. So if you're a YouTube subscriber and you've been subscribing to us on YouTube, you've been getting ripped off a little bit because YouTube's pricing structure, they wouldn't let us get as granular as Patreon did. So you guys were paying like an extra $1 a month for all access stuff already. So I think you're paying like $6 a month for all access on YouTube. And now all access is $5. So instead of a $2 gap, now it's just a $1 gap on YouTube. And I say this all the time, the best deal on our content is at Patreon. And I realize some people don't want to sign up for a new subscription service. I get all that. But I'm just letting you know that generally the better deal is always on Patreon. And I'll just switch to chat here because you guys are asking some stuff. Have you thought about making it day and date, but patrons have to have questions in the show? I think that might be pushing it a little bit too much. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've been erring on the side of caution way too much for the last 10 years. Like, maybe I need to throw caution to the wind here. Which was worse, the robbery or the credit card fiasco? Ooh. I think we ended up losing more money in the robbery than we did in the credit card fiasco. Yeah. Stress-wise,
I still can't believe they didn't take the TriCaster.
it's insane. I just looked at a photo from that the other day when I walked in there and I started taking photos for like insurance purposes, and there's the TriCaster laying on the floor with all the cables coming out of it. They had no clue.
They didn't know what it was.
They didn't know what it was.
That would have been maybe possibly a fatal blow.
Oh, it probably would have been. Yeah, because I wouldn't even have asked like people to give me $10,000 for a new TriCaster. I would not be able to bring myself to do it.
I woke up at like 6:30 one day last week and came down. I had a dream. I woke up, came downstairs, and the entire downstairs was empty. That it was just everything was gone, like the furniture, everything. Like, and I was like half mad and half impressed
that they did it when you didn't.
Yeah,
wake
I was
up.
like, oh, wow, I didn't hear a goddamn thing. These guys are amazing. Like, and then of course I had to get up and look. Right?
Yeah,
like,
just to make sure.
You have those dreams where you wake up in them and you're like, did that happen? I
gotta
make
check.
sure. And now I'm awake and it's 6:30 in the morning. Like, hate that.
Yeah, me too. What about the YouTube live debut? I talked about that a little bit earlier, but maybe you joined late. So I tried to get that together today. I actually got it going at home, but getting it going at home made me realize that I would not have enough time this morning to get it hooked up here. It is coming. I promise you. I'm going to do a stream on Saturday from my house to just test everything and make sure it works okay. And once I know that, then I'll come here early, get everything set up. Then we have to figure out how we deal with chat. If we have two chats, if we have YouTube and Twitch. And like when we do name that game Tune, like, should we just use one chat Should we use both? Because what if YouTube's faster and people get the video feed quicker on YouTube and they have an advantage? I don't know. I need to figure all that out. I need to figure out how it's presented on the screen. There's other stuff to do. I have literally...
That is a hard... Like, syncing Name That Game between the two platforms is going to be impossible.
I think it probably will be. So we may have to just do Name That Game or Name That Game Tune on Twitch only. So we'll figure it out. But I also have to figure out like how we represent that visually on the screen. I have been busting my butt for the last week, and I worked until like 4 in the morning last night. I just couldn't get it all done, and that's just the truth. So I got everything done that I could. And I think as this episode goes on, you're going to understand. Like, this is a really awesome episode we're about to have here. So YouTube live debut to be determined. Probably not next Tuesday or Wednesday, probably the week after is what I would say. So it'll give me a chance to come here, fiddle around with it a little bit, do one more episode of GameFace, and then the next one should have it. Just so you know, it's very important to me that this happens. So it will happen. That's how I roll. Vincent says, depending on how things go, I could pull interesting quotes and or super chats. Yeah. So I was saying earlier, and I totally forgot and got sidetracked, like I am starting to listen to the show so that I can start pulling things out for shorts, basically. So I'm going to be listening to the show a lot more going forward.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that format that is compelling, but it does work. Like, I click on shorts for long-form things that I have already watched, and I don't know why.
I've noticed lately I've been getting sucked into shorts too on YouTube. Like the YouTube app now makes it easy. You can just keep tapping down and you just
like long form things I watch. I mean, I'm talking like hour-long, 2-hour-long things, and like there'll be a short of like a day or two later, and it's like a little moment that happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was funny. I want to watch that again. It's so weird. It's so weird that works.
It is. Yeah. But anyway, it does feel like the world's going that way, and we need to follow along. So we're going to be doing a lot more shorts going forward. That's just the truth of the matter. Of course, we're not going to stop doing the other stuff that you guys love. We're going to start pulling stuff out of the stuff that you guys love and repurposing it as shorts. Erebus Jones says shorts equals no ads. You're right. Yeah. But, I mean, we make like no money on them, but it grows our subscriber base on YouTube. And then
I know several channels that were just 3, 5, 6 million subscribers now that were nothing but people discovered them through shorts. The biggest one being probably Y-Files, which had like I think 40,000 subscribers, and people found them through shorts, and they were 3 million in 2 months.
Yeah, and then I mean, we've already noticed that our numbers for our other shows are ticking up a little bit because we're gaining people from the shorts. Not everybody who watches our shorts and follows us for shorts watches the long-form stuff, but some of them do. And so hopefully we can get more people into the fold. They'll understand what's going on here, and then they'll head over to Patreon or they'll subscribe on YouTube. We don't really care which one you guys choose. Either one works great for us. Erebus says, no, I didn't mean for you. I mean, that's the appeal. Clicking on a short is appealing because no ads. Yeah, but they do have ads. Like every third one is an ad.
They end with an ad.
But you can skip them really easily. So I don't know how they're making money off of this stuff. They're not, obvious, because they're not giving us any. We're making no money off our shorts at all. I think the one I saw was a Nightreign video. Yeah, we've already been repurposing Dossier for our shorts because it's perfect. It's like a little 45, 50-second blurb about each game, and it's perfect for shorts. So that's what we've been doing so far. We're going to continue doing that with GameFace, Pactor Factor, Ask Shane Anything. There's little bits of every one of those shows that are great for shorts, and we're going to start doing that. So anyway, just so you guys know, I am constantly thinking critically about our business and trying to make things better for you guys, because if we have more money, that's more content for you guys. And let's be honest, if I get more money, I'm not spending that money making shorts. I'm going to spend that money to make stuff that you guys want to watch. So I think that's it. I think that's it for our 10th anniversary celebration here on GameFace. It actually probably went a little longer than I had hoped. So we're going to have to maybe rush through a little bit of the rest.
You did start late.
Yeah. And I do think this is probably something that's worth taking a little bit of time. I mean, for me personally, having put so much into this, it feels really good. Like, it felt good today to put out, like, the Facebook post and have people who follow Sifted on Facebook just because they're my friend, not because they really like games, liking it. Because they're like, wow, like, it's a milestone. Shane's business made it to 10 years. Most businesses don't last 1 year. So, and again, it's pretty much all because of you guys. So thank you. But with that, it's time to get on with the real part of GameFace 436. We are going to talk about the liquor, the part where we get hammered. We're going to talk about Nintendo Switch 2. The first thing we're going to talk about.
We're going to do the LS Cream ad. That's what I said.
No, not yet. I probably should do it here. Actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's rock some LS Cream right here, because Listevad's in our chat. Here we go. Our awesome sponsor, L to the S to the Cream. LS Cream is a fine cream liqueur created by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. It's inspired by an ancestral recipe from Haiti called Cray Mass, and a double gold winner for its original taste at the New York Wine and Spirit International Competition. LS Cream can be enjoyed on the rocks or as a mixer for drinks with its rich blend of fresh cream and neutral grain spirits with notes of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's great in coffee or to make espresso martinis. To learn more, discover amazing drink recipes, or to track down your own bottle using a handy store locator, head to creamls.com/sifted. That's creamls.com/sifted. So, Vortex Complex in our chat suggested that I take a drink of LS Cream for our 10th anniversary, and I'm going to do it. Cheers to all y'all. Cheers to LS Cream. Cheers to you, Matt. So good. It's so freaking good. I could literally pound this whole bottle. I could drink this whole bottle. LS Cream's amazing.
And then it really would be E3.
Then it would. That's true. After 5 o'clock, all bets are off.
Let's just go over the Marriott right now.
Yeah, exactly. Lesteved, Stevens Charles, thank you for all your support of GameFace. Everybody go to creamls.com/sifted. Get yourself a bottle of this deliciousness. I'm going to have that taste in my mouth for the rest of the show, and it is absolutely incredible. If you guys have not tried this yet, what are you doing? It is amazing. Go to creamls.com/sifted. You can find a store locator there to get it locally. You can find places that'll send it right to your doorstep. Get it. Pour it in some milk. Pour it in your coffee. Huzzah. Good, good stuff. I love LS Cream. You will too, I promise you. Go to creamls.com/sifted. Okay, now let's talk about Nintendo Switch 2. Matt, I was out in the wilds last night. I went to stores yesterday. So I went to a Best Buy at like 2 p.m. Nobody there. Nobody. And they already had their stuff outside with the Switch stuff and saying line starts here. And they had a sign that said extra units for people who didn't pre-order. And there was nobody. And I was like, dang. I'm like, is this going to flop? Like, is this launch going to be a complete disaster? Went home, worked all day, had to go to a Best Buy to pick up something that I had pre-ordered. And I went there, and holy cow, here's what I saw, Matt.
Yeah, people just have jobs at 2 in the afternoon.
This is at 8 o'clock at night, last night, at a Best Buy pretty close to me. And all I got to say is I was feeling the vibes. You know how I've told you how I love this stuff? It doesn't happen anymore. It happened last night. The Switch 2 launch, it was like the PS2 all over again. People vibing, having a good time, smoking weed. It's like a party in line. And just hundreds and hundreds of people waiting in line for this thing. And the best part was like everyone was telling stories, laughing, having a good time. Some people you see set up with lawn chairs and were camping out there. One dude pulled up and his family got out of the car and a girl goes, "What are y'all waiting for?" And her dad goes, "They're getting a PlayStation." And everybody in the line just busted out laughing. Nobody corrected him or anything. Everybody just started laughing. And so you can see, man, this was a scene.
So the other line was no pre-order. This is pre-order.
Right. So this is all just the pre-orders, the people waiting in line to pick up their pre-orders.
You know, you can do this online. Do you know that? I mean, I know they got it the last night instead of 11 a.m.
I mean, you could have just cruised in this morning and picked it up, no problem. But people wanted it, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess
people were having fun. Like everyone was laughing.
Yeah, everyone looks thrilled.
I don't know how long some of these people had been here, honestly. But it was good to see this again. It's been a long time since I've seen something like this, where like people were hanging out, having fun for a video.
PlayStation shirt, get him.
Serious, beat his ass. But this was the line at the Best Buy that I went to last night. It felt good to see this, like to just see people excited to be in line for a gaming console again, because even the PlayStation 5, this just didn't happen. So I was definitely feeling the vibes last night. And Matt, the reason that I was there to pick up something was because I got you something.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah.
I got you a Switch 2 Pro controller, brother.
Thank you.
Yep.
I did not actually order one of these.
Because I know that you wanted that C button, because you're going to use game chat every time you play.
All the time. You're never going to get me off that shit. Just chatting away.
Yeah, and just so you know, you don't need to buy the new one. The old one, unless you want
functionality-wise the exact same thing minus the chat.
The chat button. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So if you want to use game chat, you probably want to get the new one. But if you don't care about that, you can use your old Pro controller just fine. In fact, I used mine last night without a problem.
I mean, the old Pro controller has been through it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it can use a break.
Yep. Well, there you go. I think that's actually better
stick drift,
too.
Though.
Like the triggers are way better on that. Like it is actually better.
And it says 2 on it. It's might as well keep everything aligned. You know.
But anyway, I had a great time out for the Switch 2 launch last night. Did any of you guys get out there? Did you guys wait in line? Were you guys like trolling around at your local game stores? Erebus says it's got a back button too. I'm not sure about that actually. What does that mean, back button?
No, it's got it on the...
Oh, the underside. Yeah, it's got like paddle things. Yeah, and I never use those on the expensive controllers that I get either.
Neither do I.
Draylock says, funny enough, it has a different box than the GameStop one without the MKW branding. Just an MKW sticker. Interesting.
Yeah, this is just a sticker.
Also, one thing that you'll be able to do now is you'll be able to complete Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Because you can't complete that game unless you have all the stuff for Switch 2. You have to have, like, that controller with the back paddles. You have to have the camera. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't 100% Welcome Tour. It's crazy.
Like, you want to guarantee I'm never going to touch that?
Yeah.
What is that, like $8?
What?
That tour thing?
It's, yeah, $8, yeah.
Nope.
Nope. AJ says, this is what console lunches should be about. I agree, man. It's a good time getting together with other people who love games just as much as you do, even if it's only for a couple hours or whatever. And Swan Senpai does remind us, yeah, PS5 was COVID, but yeah, they just couldn't have something like this back then. So it's good to see it happening again, and maybe not until 8 years from now it'll happen again. Fire Native says, did they staple your receipt to the Switch 2 box? They did not. They did not. I got mine sent to me. I didn't have to go to a store, but that has been a thing apparently.
Only at the Staten Island GameStop.
Yeah.
Which is like, all right.
Staten Island.
Like, I don't know why the first one was like, the first Switch was like this too. I don't know why the screen is right there behind this flimsy cardboard. Like, even Apple ships iPhones face down in the package,
right?
Like, to just protect the screen. Like, that's very weird.
It is very weird. We're gonna crack this open in a second and do like a little unboxing for you. You'll see that the way Nintendo packed this thing up is very odd. So anyway, last night, after I got done with all this stuff, I finally got time to spend with Switch 2 myself. I didn't have any time to play games. All I pretty much had time to do was set it up and start messing with the system. And so I recorded all my footage of doing that. The process, if you already have a Switch 1, transferring all that stuff to Switch 2 is very easy. It's almost automatic. Basically, it asks you if you want to do it. And it's like, what you end up doing is setting your consoles next to each other, and the data transfers very quickly. I think it took me 8 minutes, maybe.
It's very much like iPhone, or like it reminds me of Apple. I think Nintendo uses Apple as a template for stuff like that.
Probably
often.
Yeah. So it was very simple, and then once that happened, here we are setting up my new Nintendo Switch 2. It was also pretty simple to do. There wasn't a lot of stuff that you had to do to make it work. And then once you get it booted up, you go to the... Well, actually, this is actually me transferring my data. This is me setting up my Switch 2 from my Switch 1. And I obviously cut out the long meters that take like 10 minutes or whatever. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to do this. They walk you through it. It's like when you first boot it up, it asks you, do you have a Switch 1? Like, so it knows that most of the people getting a Switch 2 already have a Switch, and it prompts you to go through this process that you're seeing right now. Once you do that, it boots you into the home screen, and there it is. There's the Switch 2 home screen.
With nothing installed.
Yep. So when you do the transfer, it transfers like your saved data and stuff like that. It does not transfer the actual games. So once you get your Switch 2 and you open it up, you have to go and manually select for them to download the games again, which was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but whatever. I mean,
expected.
I'd rather do this than try to transfer that data from the one system to another using some weird technology like Bluetooth.
As long as the stuff that's specific to you is transferred,
right.
Like, you can download the games
whenever you want.
At your leisure.
Yeah. And obviously the hard drive on Switch 2 is much bigger than the one on the Switch. They also prompt you
I did not get a memory card.
I don't have one yet either. They're expensive.
They are.
Like, half a terabyte's like $80.
Yeah, it's like Vita shit.
Yeah, it is kind of Vita shit. I wasn't happy about that at all.
No.
I went and shopped and I was like, F this. I don't want to spend this much.
Especially because, I got a bunch of flash drives for a thing I needed to transfer a bunch of, like, things to various people.
Yeah.
Like 256 terabytes or whatever is like $10. It's like, and I'm paying like $80 for that on this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know it's faster, like, it's faster access, but, like, come on.
They also do prompt you to transfer the data from your little micro SD card over to Switch 2. It will read that data and download from it. You just can't use that old card to do anything. You can't play games off of it or anything. You can just transfer data with it.
$80, I could buy Mario Kart for that.
Pretty much. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're right. It is kind of a Vita situation again. Like, this is an added cost of Switch 2 that I think a lot of people...
It's actually not as bad as Vita because those cards were obscene.
You're
Those
right.
cards were like
they were
$130
ridiculous. Yeah,
that was $130 in like 2010 money.
Yeah. So now you're seeing like the new Nintendo Switch News app, which they launched that other app that they're starting to like bogart stuff behind. Did you see that they blocked people being able to capture footage from their app?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because their app, they were putting up gameplay like, here, we'll show you how this works, how that works. And people were...
You got to keep all the games secret.
And they
you don't want anyone to see footage of your games.
Well, what it is this is a new product for them. They wanted people to go to the Nintendo Today app.
Right.
And they're like, oh, if people are stealing the video from Nintendo Today, they're not going to come to Nintendo Today.
PR app. Like,
it's literally like 2001 thinking. But Nintendo does that sometimes. It still lives in the past in a lot of ways. Now...
Next, they're going to keep things exclusive on their Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. Next up...
Zing!
Yep, exactly. Next up, we're at the Switch 2 eShop, and it has been completely overhauled.
That is much faster.
Oh, it's beyond faster.
I can even see just as you're going through it there.
I mean, I'll just say this. The Switch 2 is really fast and really snappy. Everything you do on it, there's no lag. It's like zap, 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 zap. And even when you go to the eShop, it just cruises and crushes. Now you're seeing the virtual game cards here. This is like my library on Switch, basically. And here you can see, like, these are all the virtual game cards for all those games that I already had for Switch.
These are what you can loan out to people, or?
So you can, some of these, yeah. And you have to do this process where you go and set it up, and other people with Switches have to be standing nearby you, and you kind of zap their Switch 2 with your Switch 2, and it transfers the game to them, which is called Game Share, what you're going to see right here. Yeah, so this is it right here. I didn't have somebody to use it with, unfortunately, so I just kind of went through the menu so people could see it. But yeah, that's Game Share, basically. And yeah, any of those virtual cards, those are the games that you can then share with them. What else can I even say about it?
It's very switchy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing I would say, too, is that after I messed around with this for like 3 or 4 hours and put it down, I was like, now what? Because it's like, yeah, the eShop's faster.
You can play the one game.
Right.
And then you can wait for Donkey Kong.
Pretty much. That's pretty much it. Yep. So, yeah. I had that.
In my case, you can wait for Metroid.
Right.
I don't know if I really care about Donkey Kong.
I had that moment where I put it down and was like, what am I going to do with this now? Like, I'm going to play Mario Kart for the next 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, I saw like someone in the chat like, if I was Matt, I'd want to rip that Switch up. I'm like, not really. I
Why?
mean, I'll get to it later tonight, but like.
Now you're really seeing the speed of the new eShop. This is the
That's
eShop.
much better.
Yeah.
Like just the night and day difference.
Look at that. I mean, they have really improved everything for Switch 2, but it also is very similar and very familiar. And so after you mess with it for like an hour, you're like, yeah, these new Joy-Con feel pretty good.
Yeah, you'll be able to see all the hentai games much faster now.
And everything's a lot snappier than it was before, but now what? Like, I'm going to play Mario Kart, but what's going to happen when I'm burned out on Mario Kart? Am I going to play...
You will never burn out on Mario Kart. Mario Kart is forever.
I mean, truth be told, I will probably play it
Mario
for a long
Kart 8
time.
really was forever. Mario Kart 8 been around...
11 years? 13 years?
Yeah, longer than
something?
Sifted.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah, it has, which is crazy. But anyway, everything's improved, but there's no like huge feature that you experience. You're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Like, I see how that works. I get to try out the mouse controls for the first time setting this up. They're a little awkward. Like, once you get used to it, it's like because it's a controller, I think just mentally, you're trying to tilt it, but you don't. You got to leave it flat on the table and use it just like a mouse and slide it. It took me a while for my brain to like understand what it was trying to get me to do. And then once it did, I kind of got it, but it still is kind of erratic. Like, I wouldn't use it to do anything very like meticulous or anything
I'm still
like that.
a little surprised that Peach's like character image in that game is an ass shot.
Really?
Like I just that's just not what they usually do with her.
Yeah. Or with any character, really.
No, like usually they're face on. Like it's
Here's another new thing with Switch 2, the GameCube stuff on Nintendo Switch Online. So I got to play a little bit of F-Zero GX.
Still don't feel very good about that extra money for the subscription.
Yeah,
I might do it to play F-Zero GX, but my GameCube's still hooked up in the other room.
Yeah, well, why would you?
I don't need it.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't look that much better on Switch 2.
I would imagine it doesn't look better at all because the progressive scan on the GameCube is kind of unbeaten.
It is kind of, yeah. You can see when
running natively, it's hard. It's going to be hard to beat.
Here I am using the mouse controls, and you can use it to navigate menus and stuff. But you can see it's a little jittery. And also, when you get your Switch 2, there are updates for the controllers available right now. So you can update those. It literally took like 20 seconds per Joy-Con to update them. So it happens pretty quickly. Here you're going to see me scrolling through kind of the options eventually.
At least they connect.
Yeah, seriously.
Remember your Switch 1 experience.
Yeah, I had to send in like Joy-Con like 3 times to get ones that would stay connected. No problem here. Here you're seeing the controllers being updated, which you all want to do whenever you get your Switch 2. And then eventually I'm going to get to the display options where you can see that there's HDR and 4K and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it pretty much has all the modern conveniences of video game consoles. The Switch 2 does as far as setting things up for visual output, audio output, all that kind of stuff, which the first Switch was a little behind the curve in a lot of those ways. The Mii, I guess you heard the stuff about this. They're genderless now. Mm-hmm. That the Mii are now styles instead of genders, which I'm sure some people are pissed off about. I don't really care that much, but
go look in the comments right now.
Yeah,
look, there's already people pissed.
In our show, you mean?
No, I mean in the future when they're on YouTube.
Oh right, yeah.
Before you can delete them.
Yeah. But then I did try out GameCube. F-Zero GX runs like butter. They said that their emulation is a combination of hardware and software emulation. Mm-hmm. Whatever they're doing, it's working pretty well.
Emulation for GameCube is in a pretty good place right now.
Yeah, Dolphin's been around for, 15 years now, something like that? And they keep working on it and making it better. So I got to play a little bit of F-Zero GX, one of the hardest racing games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think I've ever gotten all the way through this.
I've not completed the story mode ever in this game.
No.
I couldn't. I wasn't good enough. That's just the truth. Khalid Twilight says, make me sexy again. These have never been sexy.
This is the best version of Mute City ever recorded, though. The music in this.
Yeah.
The music in this is phenomenal.
It is really good. Yeah. I mean,
like
the audio
if I put this Mute City track on in my car, like, I'm going to do something illegal.
You're going to drive real fast, yep. But you can see the frame rate's great. Everything runs awesome. And so right now there's just this game, there's Wind Waker, and there's Soul Calibur 2. And I'm sure they'll be adding more GameCube stuff as it goes. But here's the thing, like, I think Soul Calibur 2 has online play. I should have checked it. I didn't.
I think it does.
That's awesome. This has online play.
Transcending history and the world. Yeah. A game you played 20 years ago on your new system.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave F-Zero a little bit of a go, just a little bit of a nostalgia trip. I haven't played this game. I don't know the last time that I played this. I can't even remember when it was, honestly. And then
this is Sega. They did not do Wipeout, no.
Yeah. And then the last thing that I recorded here is a look at all the platforms for Nintendo Switch Online and looking through their libraries. And just like the eShop, this stuff populates like lightning, all the games for each one of these systems. It's just like boom, boom, boom. There it is. Mm-hmm. There they all are. And you can switch to other platforms, and it's just as fast. Like this, if you're a Switch owner, this is a revelation because that thing runs sluggish AF. So overall, I would say my first day/night with the Switch 2 was pretty good, but at the same time, after I'm done with Mario Kart, I'm just kind of wondering like what I'm gonna do with it. Because I'll be honest with you, my Switch OLED.
You're gonna play Donkey Kong and Mario and Metroid Prime without having to worry about getting one.
Yeah,
that's all.
You're right. But in between there, like what?
In between there, it's not a lot of reason to have it, but the reason to have it is to not worry about trying to find one later.
In between
that's why this is here.
Yeah,
because I know I don't want to run around trying to find one when Mario Prime. That'd be a very different game. When Metroid Prime 4 is about to come out.
Yeah. Well, in between those games, I'm glad I have a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. That's what's happening there.
Play some Mario Kart and go back in the other room and play all the other games imaginable on PC.
Yeah, that's true as well. But, so anyway, we're not
going to talk about it today, but if you have not played the demo for Dispatch, Go do that.
Yeah.
After this.
Yep.
It's worth seeing. It's more than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, well, we are going to open up the Nintendo Switch 2 live here on GameFace right now.
That's the old one.
Yeah, I brought the OLED, so once I open this, I can compare them and show you guys like the size difference. So here's the Switch 2 box. Mine did not even have like a tape seal on it, but Matt's does.
Yeah, mine does.
So I guess Nintendo just, maybe these are like pre-production or something. I don't know.
I'm sure they logged everything they sent to the press.
Yeah.
They do that.
And so here's the problem. This is just a flimsy piece of cardboard here. I mean, you can see, let me get the camera angle right, how thin the cardboard is. Look at it.
Yeah, there's
it's
nothing,
not even like normal cardboard.
A good shot to the front of that box is going to really impact the screen.
And that's the screen right there.
And again, the Switch 1 was like that too.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember any issues arising from it until GameStop started stapling things to it. So
yeah.
Clearly not that much of an issue, but it's an odd packaging choice.
Yeah, it really is. So here's the screen, so you can see why if a package takes a
like
shot.
at least flip it over.
Yeah.
Like that's just.
So they give you the tablet just as its own thing in a little plastic wrap. Pull that out.
With the hated colors on the inside.
Yeah, there they are. Blue on the end on the one side and orange on the other side. And there is no change in that.
No.
Nope. There's no change in it.
I mean, you could paint it.
Yeah, you could, but nah. So there's the tablet screen. Here are the Joy-Con. The blue. And the orange. They really chose interesting colors for the default colors.
Yeah.
Like these weird, like almost like pale
It's
orange
a lot
and
more.
blue.
That's more orange than I think. It looks more red in the promo material.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot more orange to it than I thought.
You can see it's trying to sync right now with the tablet. You can see they also do not come with like the plastic things that used to cover this on the first Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come with that. So I guess they're just like I never used them either. I don't know if you ever did.
No.
I never put them on there. I guess most people never did either. So they've got rid of them. They're not a part of Switch 2. And then
Just on the screen.
yeah,
All
you
right.
lift this, and here is a bunch of like documentation. I haven't even looked at this stuff yet. Oh, there's an HDMI cable in there. I didn't even know that was in there. Oh, and they do have
Those are
them.
straps.
There they are.
There they are.
And they're different actually. So there's a strap, but it doesn't like, look at this. I haven't even seen this yet. Weird. So it just goes around it. So you can still use the buttons, I guess, on
Yeah.
the edge. That's why they designed it that way. So I hadn't even seen this stuff yet. So I hadn't opened up this compartment. I'm wondering if this is an HDMI 2.1 for 120 hertz.
It would have to be.
You would think. It says ultra high speed. So yeah, Nintendo went the extra mile and paid for the HDMI 2.1. That's nice. Then you move the first layer. And you get down in here. This is just the power stuff. Power cord's still really short. I don't know why Nintendo does this, so I have to buy like an extender for like my USB-C cable so that they're long enough to reach my system. But you can see the power brick here. It's a lot different than the one that we had before. USB-C, obviously. Nintendo branding on the side there. See that? And then here is the dock. The dock is much bigger than the one for the first Switch, but it still has that goofy like plate on the back. So there's the Switch 2 dock. I should probably just leave it down here. See that? It's got the embossing with the logo on the front. And then here's the back. And this whole plate pops off. And then you can see there all your ports. So you have your USB-C port, your HDMI port, and your Ethernet port in there. So it's nice that the Ethernet port is built into it this time. You had to buy an adapter for the first Switch, but the OLED had an Ethernet port built into it too. I'll say this too. So this thing has fans here, and it gets hot. I wouldn't even really run any games on it. I just had the system on, and I had put my hand above this vent, and it was really hot. So it is definitely kicking out some heat for sure. And then there's two USB ports here, old school USB ports, not USB-C ports, because the tablet has the USB-C ports on it. So anyway, this is the new dock. Snap that back on there. And it still is a little flimsy. Like, you can bend that pretty easily, man. Like, it's not all that sturdy. The other thing I would say, too, is that, like, getting a tablet... I'll move these boxes here. into the dock was a little awkward compared to the first Switch. Like it didn't just kind of like fall into the slot like the first Switch does. You really got to kind of find it. And I think that might be because of the USB-C ports. I'm not sure.
Is that the direction it goes?
I think so.
I mean, wouldn't the screen face this way?
Oh. Yep. There you go. So you kind of got to like slide it along, and then it kind of seats in and it falls down in there.
The rounded part on the back makes it look even more like a toaster.
It does, yeah. It really does. You can see it, and I'll snap the Joy-Con on there. And obviously, this is the big difference for Switch 2, is that you don't have to like slide it down the rail. You just get it close to the rail, and it just kind of sucks it in and attaches.
Magnets, how do they work?
I'm trying to do it be very, yeah. Like, and then the one thing I will say, pulling them off takes a little getting used to. There are these buttons right here. And you have to squeeze that, and then you can pull the Joy-Con off. And it took me a little while to kind of figure out the best way to like do that while it's in the dock and whatnot. But yeah, that's how you pull them off. Let me pull it out of the dock, and I'll compare it so you guys can see it compared to the Switch OLED. So, here's Switch OLED compared to Switch 2. So you can see there's a big difference, actually. One is way bigger than the other. Switch 2, you have to have some raver genes, some Jenko raver genes for this thing to fit in your pocket, but there you can see. Switch OLED on the left, Switch 2 on the right. Big, big difference between the two there. See it? All right, let me turn on Switch 2. And the Switch 2 power button is right up here on the top left. And it starts out just like the Switch. You got that home screen, you hit A, then you got to hit A 3 times. And there we are. You can see it is snappy.
For the love of God, get the white thing off the screen.
What'd you say?
A little white speck.
There's a white speck on the screen?
Yeah, right above closed software.
Oh, yeah. It's funny that you can see that. But you can see it's very, very fast. And I don't have it. It's not connected to Wi-Fi in here, so I can't show you like the stuff live. But that's why I recorded the footage that I showed you earlier. But yeah, it pretty much functions just like Switch 1. And that's what I was saying. Like after I had it for like hours, I was like, now what? What do I do with it? And obviously, now what means I'm going to be playing a crap ton of Mario Kart World over the next like
That's
week
a lot
or 2
more
weeks.
bezel than I thought there would be.
You mean as far as like the outline around the screen?
I thought the screen would go further out.
Yeah, let me boot up the OLED and let's take a look at the bezel around it. Yeah, it looks like it's smaller.
Yeah. Like it doesn't seem like that much more actual display space.
Yeah, the border is definitely bigger on Switch 2. Yep, interesting. Even so, Switch 2 screen is still bigger for sure. Yeah. But anyway, there's the Switch OLED. Now I got to try to sell this. It's like I don't know if people are gonna want to buy a Switch 1 now. Will anybody want to buy one still?
I don't know. You probably keep it around just in case the Switch 2 dies on you.
So let me turn off Switch 2, and then I'll show you them side by side docked. So there you go. OLED in front, Switch 2 behind it. Definitely way bigger. Yeah. Taller and wider.
Much more Steam Deck form factor.
For sure, yeah. But there you go. That's Nintendo Switch 2. That's our official unboxing live right here on GameFace. I'm wondering if any of you guys have got your Switch 2s and what your impressions are of it. Oh, one thing I did not show you guys because I could not figure out how to get this back into the stinking box. This is the... What do they call this again? I always forget.
I don't know.
This is like the...
Joy-Con dock or something?
Something like that. It had some kind of a...
Not Pro Controller. It's the... I don't know.
But there you can see... And that's better. This is better than the Switch 1's was. The other thing, because the ergonomics of it, you can see there on the back, The other thing I'll say too, generally,
Joy-Con grip.
Joy-Con grip. That's
Thank
it.
you, Vincent.
The other thing I will say too is that these new Joy-Con are way more ergonomic. They feel way better in the hand. Like you can see that they're kind of curved on the backside, and the triggers are way better than they were because they actually form to your fingers.
Not analog though.
No, they're not. They're still on and off, which sucks. I don't know why Nintendo refuses to do that with its triggers, but yeah, it is. And obviously the sticks aren't Hall effect. The sticks are gigantic compared to the original Switch. They feel so much better. So overall, the Joy-Con overhaul, I think, has been successful and was really smart. I think most of the stuff, it does feel a little flimsy. It feels like these are made almost entirely out of plastic, where it felt like the first Joy-Con had a little bit of steel in them. What do you think?
I mean, I haven't held a Joy-Con in years. They feel about the same.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It is the your fingers, your middle finger and pinky do kind of end up right on top of these side buttons. That's nice.
Yeah, and that little snap-on thing isn't going to fix that
Nice.
either. Yeah, that's you're supposed to use it as a mouse.
that is not stable. That doesn't really work.
It's ridiculous, honestly. It really is.
But they do feel pretty. I see what you're saying. They do feel plasticier, but they also feel kind of.
They feel good.
Smoother. They have a nice feel to them.
I agree. I think they feel great.
Nice heft.
Yep. I like the texture on them too.
Yeah.
Make them grippy, so they're not. If you get sweaty, they don't slip out of your hand. So yeah, I think the Joy-Con generally an upgrade. Obviously, the magnetic, huge upgrade over having to slide them down those
better,
damn rails. Yeah. Like it feels archaic to have to do this now. To have to like. But notice you don't get a sound anymore, like you do with the.
Yeah, you kind of get a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
They're still gonna do it in the directs.
It's sound.
about the same.
That's good enough.
It never sounded like
no,
that.
It never
so
did. It definitely never did. So anyway, there you go. That's Nintendo Switch 2. I'll just leave it there so you guys can check it out.
Nintendo Switch again.
Yeah. I mean, and it does feel that way, honestly. It does feel like Nintendo Switch again.
But that's, inevitably what it was going to be and all it really had to be.
Yeah, and look, I think Nintendo would have been an idiot if it did anything else. So I get why it's done it. And, once the software starts flowing in, I am really surprised that there isn't just a huge amount of software available right now.
I mean, there is a fair amount of it. Just it's all.
First party stuff. Yeah, first party.
Yeah, it does seem like they've been running silent enough that they should have some
what have you
stuff
been
ready
doing?
to go.
Yeah,
But
I don't get it. I mean, they probably think Mario Kart's going to be enough to hold people over because they only have so many units. The core.
I've seen a lot of people online who are like double dipping on things they've already played on other consoles.
Not doing that.
I'm definitely not doing that. But I'll absolutely say Cyberpunk looks a lot better on this than I thought it would.
I can't believe it. I can't believe how good Cyberpunk looks.
It looks better than on PS4 Pro.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
In terms of the lighting, it looks way better.
Wow.
I
didn't know that.
Like PS4 Pro has sort of a flat look to it because it didn't quite emulate the ray tracing or like whatever they're doing with the light. Like the lighting in for whatever they're doing, the Switch 2, the Cyberpunk, especially on the outside when you're on the freeway outside the city, it looks way better. I think than the PS4 Pro specifically. Man, I'm obviously not holding a candle to the PS5 Pro, but like if you're, it looks way better than I ever thought it would on this. So I guess if you haven't played these years-old games on other platforms, or if you just desperately want to play them handheld for some reason, like they look pretty damn good.
I mean, if you only have owned a Switch, you're gonna freak out over this launch.
Sure.
There's gonna be so many games.
Go get like Cyberpunk and that right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great launch for you. But if you are someone who's owned a PS5 or an Xbox Series, it's different for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's
cool to see it. Also it's like you don't have to live through the first year of Cyberpunk.
When it was a disaster.
Even more of a bonus.
Yeah, and obviously some people are pretty pissed off that, like, if you already own the Zelda games, they're asking you to pay extra money for the upgrade. Like, I went through that last night. Like, I downloaded the original version of Tears of the Kingdom. I went to go play it, and it prompts you. Like, there's a little thing in the menu there. Do you want to play the Nintendo Switch 2 version? And if you click on that, then it prompts you to pay. So
yeah, I can't imagine I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
With those games, I would pay a $10 upgrade for like some of the Xenoblade stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's not really. Sounds like a bunch of stuff just runs better automatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I then played Tears of the Kingdom. It definitely runs better, no doubt about it. Without like paying for the Switch 2 upgrade, it still runs better, even with the base version. So it definitely improves games no matter what. Let's check in with you guys. Do you guys have any questions about the hardware? I can show you guys anything that you want, because I know a lot of you maybe haven't got it yet. Minority says, I refused to wait in line, and my brother called me at 10 a.m., and I was able to walk into a Target 20 minutes away and bought it. Wow. I haven't taken out my Switch 2, waiting for GameFace to end. Wow. That's incredible, man. Because what I saw last night were people who were salty.
Yeah.
So you saw in the video that I showed you guys, that first line that was for people that were trying to show up and buy one. That line when I got there was probably like 250 people long. After I got Matt's controller and I went to leave, they had told people to leave who weren't going to be able to get a console, and there was only like 35 people left. So they got like 35 extras roughly, and you saw the line of people who had pre-ordered. That's probably like 300-400 people, something like that.
I'm looking at Target right now. There are 2 stores within 50 miles that both each have 1 left.
Not now. I bet not anymore.
Right
you snap
now.
your fingers, and it's gone.
Right now. So if you are near the San Pedro Target, they got 1.
Make your move. Retro Modern Gamer says Nintendo has the patent on the D-pad and then does not even have true D-pads on the Switch. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
Yeah. Because they want to be able to make it double as buttons so people can hold the Joy-Con sideways and do that goofy like multiplayer thing. I would never play that way, but I've seen family members do it at like Christmas and whatnot, so some people do use it that way. AJ the Legend, what if I want to keep games on both OG Switch and Switch 2? Is it? Yes. So after I did the transfer from my Switch 1 to my Switch 2, I was able to go back on my Switch 1 and play all those games still. So yeah, it's not a big deal at all. Obviously, I'm going to sell this soon. I need to wipe it or whatever. But yeah, the games are still there. I can still go back and play them on my Switch 1 if I want to. Khalib Tolai, is Nintendo going after FPS fans with that mouse functionality? No. I mean, they're trying.
Come on.
They're showing it with Metroid Prime 4. So they're trying, but no. Like first of all, Metroid, does it not have the lock-on anymore? The auto-aiming? Did they get rid of it for Prime 4?
I don't know.
Because that's a thing. That was a big thing for Metroid Prime, is that you had the automatic lock. Like, you didn't have to actually manually aim.
There's a Switch 2 Mario Kart bundle for $387 on Amazon.
Wow.
1 left in stock.
Is that from China, maybe?
Arrives before Father's Day.
Zed Saber Juno, predictions for what the next Nintendo console is going to be.
Shipped and sold by iTech 365.
I would not trust that.
That's gonna be a blank journal in a box.
Yeah,
what that is gonna be.
Vincent says their first-party software is spread out 1 a month for the rest of the year. Yeah, I get it. You just need more at launch, I think. Zed Saber says, what's next? Is it going to be a Switch 3 after this? Do you think Nintendo? I mean, a lot will depend on how it does, and we're going to give our predictions here in just a second for Switch 2. But what do you think the next one will be?
Next what?
Nintendo platform. You think it'll be a Switch 3?
Yeah,
yeah. Why would you stop?
Man, we just got here.
I know.
What do you?
That Saber's already looking to 8 years down the road. Like,
I haven't even opened it yet. Come on, people. Like, chill
fair.
out.
That's fair. I agree with that. Okay, Matt. Let's do some predictions here. How do you think Switch 2 is going to sell?
Well.
Okay, I'd agree with that. What about compared to Switch 1? Do you think it'll outsell Switch 1 or sell less? Or
I think it will sell better, assuming they are able to get enough units in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Which I don't see why they wouldn't.
You think lifetime it'll sell more? I mean, a lot of that's going to depend on how long it sticks around as well.
Yeah, I mean, Switch was around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's their longest lived system, I think.
It is. Yeah, it's been 8 years.
Non-handheld.
Yes, 8 years. So that's going to be hard to beat. Your platform's got to stick around for 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, and again, you are kind of up against the thing where it's like there was nothing else like it, and everybody had to have one. People were buying like 4 for their whole family and everything. So I don't know if Switch 2 will have that. I mean, you if I was a parent, I'd be like, I'm getting a Switch 2. The kids can play the Switch 1 for a while until they get their paper routes or their YouTube channels up or whatever the hell children do now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think the bigger X factor is the tariffs.
And
what happens with that?
Because
if these tariffs stick around for the next 3.5 years, it has no chance of selling better than Switch 1.
General price of everything, the library. We'll see.
There's a lot that goes into it.
But clearly right now it's doing just fine.
Yeah. I honestly don't think it will sell as well as Switch 1. Even if the tariffs go away in a month or whatever, I still don't think it will sell as well as Switch 1.
I think it's so redundant with the Switch 1 outside of like performance that I think it's going to be hard for people to justify replacing every Switch 1 they own with a Switch 2.
Because like
at least outside of a major price drop in a few years, which I just doesn't seem to happen anymore. So,
my brothers and sisters that have kids, they have 3-4 Switches in their house, and that has been a boon for Nintendo. And you're right, this is like an upgrade.
Yeah.
It isn't like a new platform.
Like best I could see would be like they put an OLED version out in a year or two, and like people buy that and then hand me down the Switch 2. So like that's kind of how you sort of do that replacement theory.
Possible,
but like. I don't know. Like I think the fact that it's not the new hotness, it's more just the upgrade of the hotness. Is
it's a little bit of a detriment.
Yeah, it depends how long they give it to breathe. It depends if you start getting games that are just like way better on the Switch 2 because of just performance-wise or functionality, or they start making games that only work on the Switch 2, which I imagine they will.
It's a lot of X factors.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can play Mario Kart on the Switch 1.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, as more exclusive games come out for Switch 2 that can be played on Switch 1, that's when I think you're going to start seeing momentum pick up. But then you wonder, because what I think is happening
the actual 3D Mario game, the inevitable Zelda game, like you're going to see some movement there.
Spikes,
I think.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, those games will look better than anything that they played on Switch 1.
And you won't be able to play them on Switch 1.
Yeah,
so.
But I really struggle to think that Switch 2 will sell as well as Switch 1.
I think it depends how long they let it live.
I think it would have to go 10 years.
I can see that.
Even if Trump is gone in 3 years and this whole regime is out who thinks tariffs are a good idea, the damage is done. Like, you've lost 3 years of what should be your peak sales
period. Also,
periods.
the pricing is what the pricing is.
Right.
It's not, you're not
and
gonna,
here's
like,
the thing.
backtrack
If
on
the
that.
tariffs don't go away, the price could go up.
Right.
Like, this is Nintendo's price without tariffs.
Well, and even without the tariffs, like, you saw the PlayStation price going up. They raised the price of the PS5 twice. So it's like, who knows? Like it's a strange world right now with the manufacturing and the electronics and stuff, and it never really found its footing again fully after the COVID shakeup. And who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, and clearly the days of system price cuts are gone. And even if you could afford to do it, at this point, why would you?
Because no one expects it anymore.
Right. Like it's done.
It really is over. Yeah. I mean, with the tariffs, you'd think there might be a slight crack in the door for something like that to happen, but
no.
I think only if Nintendo has to increase the price above $450, maybe it comes back to $450 if the tariffs go away.
I don't think so.
But probably not.
I think anything that I don't mean this just in game stuff. I mean anything that increases price over the tariffs, that's never come back.
It probably won't. It usually doesn't.
Why would it?
Look at COVID. COVID went away.
Oh, yeah.
Supply chain, everything is still cost what it did.
As long as it's still selling at that price, why would you drop it?
Yeah, because you don't care if people are like having to sacrifice things for stuff. It's capitalism. That's their problem.
That's the old economic theory about like why isn't milk more expensive? Because everybody buys it, so why doesn't everybody just charge $20 a carton and make tons of money off it? Well, because people won't pay that because everybody needs it. But like that has proven kind of false in the last 5 years it's like, well, people, enough people still buy these things even when the eggs are $20 or $15 to justify keeping the price that high, or at least offering that as a price point. And then you've got that really weird demographic that thinks the ones they pay like $11 for the dozen eggs, they think they're better than the eggs that were $5. And it's just like, they're just eggs, people. Like, you're just going to break them anyway.
We're in uncharted territory with what's going on here. Yeah. We just don't know. I mean, nothing like this has ever happened. We've never had a loose cannon like this.
Well, it has, but it was in 1928, and it didn't turn out too well.
Yeah. It sent us into the Great Depression.
The Smoot-Hawley stuff didn't work out so well.
Swan Senpai says there were units on store shelves in Ireland this morning. People are asking about battery life. I don't know yet. I haven't even went through a whole charge on my Switch 2 yet to know how the battery is. I will say this, though. When I left my place this morning, my Switch 2 was at 100%. When I pulled it out here, it was at like 97. So it had lost 3% just sitting in my bag for the last couple hours. So I don't know. It's still, I can't really say if the battery life is good or bad. Maybe.
And I will never know.
Yeah, so. You will never know. I'll try to figure that out for you, though, for next episode.
Sucker's gonna
Next
go
to Twa says
and
that
never see the
Amazon
light
thing
of
was
day
an
again.
OG Switch, not a Switch 2.
Might have been, yeah.
It's almost double the price of Switch, and it's a sequel. Many casuals and kids have no reason to upgrade or can't afford it. Yeah. Squishy Muffin says, I think it'll sell as well as the 3DS did relative to the original DS. I think that's probably a pretty good comp. Draylock says, doing setup now, I like the size and feel of the old Joy-Con. Interesting. I thought that they were rigid and squared off and uncomfortable to hold. Khalib Twilight says, that's the water versus gold paradox. I'm not sure what he's referencing there.
The water versus, why isn't water more valuable than gold? Because if you don't get water, you'll die.
Gotcha.
Whereas if you don't get gold, nothing happens.
Yeah. Okay. Roger signing with the Steelers.
The real answer to that is that if you withhold water from people, they will kill you.
No, they signed Aaron Rodgers.
Ugh. Even ugh.
Today was supposed to be a great day. Now it just got ruined.
Yeah,
I hate Aaron Rodgers with a passion.
It's like all that goo from Death Stranding's all over the Steelers now.
Swan Senpai says, I got mine, can set it up. Nintendo E won't update my email, so I can't transfer my stuff. Yeah, that is the one thing you do have to do. You have to log in with Nintendo.com or wherever territory you're in. And it does like this, like you use QR codes and they send you like a code that you punch in. It does get a little annoying. Even though the QR codes makes it easier than having to sign in manually every time. Like you have to sign in like 5 times when you're transferring your stuff, which is a little annoying. AJ the Legend says, do you feel obligated to get the welcome to our game and provide thoughts? I mean, I will. Nintendo will just send it to me. I won't have to pay for it. So it makes it easier for me because I would not pay for it. Mellow Pintor, I hate Pittsburgh more now. Why? Hopefully he'll just ride the bench. He's not riding the bench. They're not signing him for him to not play. Dang. I wish you guys would have waited. I could have found this out after the show was over.
You see the thing? It was a viral thing of some guy realizing that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are both in Pennsylvania.
No.
And it's like right out of it's like literally an Always Sunny in Philadelphia bit. It was actually but it's like a person. It was happening in like real life or something. It was like
really?
Where he's like he didn't think there could be two big cities in one state or something. So he's like, how can they have 2 cities?
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, in the
because they're
state,
just like
there's Harrisburg, which is not a massive city, but it's still pretty big. Like it's a little metropolis or whatever. So there's kind of 3 big cities in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but it's just like I just thought that was fun. It's just like there's people that think each state can only have 1 big city, which is like I mean, have you seen California? We've got like 4 of them.
Right. I am no longer surprised that people don't know things.
No,
Matt.
I suppose not.
I'm over that, man. Okay, so you heard what Matt thinks is going to happen with Switch 2. You heard what I think is going to happen with Switch 2. I said sell a little bit lower. Matt says probably around the same. We got some opinions from some outsiders here that are going to share their opinions on what they think is going to happen with Switch 2 as far as sales and things like that are concerned. And first up is, if I can find a dang clip. First up.
Hello there. I'm Adam Sessler. And, with the imminent launch of the Switch 2 and I no longer have a platform to express my feelings on, I decided to come here. One thing, I did not know the Switch 2 was releasing until about a week ago. And I live in San Francisco, about 5-6 blocks from the recently opened Nintendo store right down the street. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. This first run of Switch 2s is going to sell out, but Nintendo then has to maintain interest and loyalty past that point. And that's where I can't but wonder if Nintendo's really got something up their sleeve. They're going to change how they've operated in the past, or if this is the same song that I experienced when I was on several platforms. So let me talk about one aspect first. The decision not to give any advance switches to the press. It's not going to hurt them as much as sort of there's been chatter among those out there. And I even felt a sense of sort of professional pain on behalf of people like Shane and other colleagues that are having to endure that right now. It's less a matter that they're hiding something, that they're being really shifty, that maybe there's some sort of fly in the ointment. It's more the arrogance. This has happened in the past, especially coming off of the wild success, wild 50% success of the original Wii. Nintendo has this habit of sort of walking around, they're the cock of the walk. Oh, we're so special. And as a game company, they love to control the message. And nothing controls the message more than not participating with the press. This is exactly the right time for them to actually cry out what it's like not to talk through the enthusiast gaming press and the influencers that are out there. Why? Well, obviously the Switch was a wildly successful console, and well, they finally got their act together and they put a 2 after Switch, so there's no confusion that this is a new console that people can buy. Uh, the big difference for me is that $100 ish difference in the price, which I don't believe is necessarily because of the tariffs. I think that there's going to be added costs in addition to that $100. That's a significant amount. That starts to cut out a lot of people who might have a more casual relationship with games. That's a very core audience to Nintendo. And as someone who really does believe there's a recession on the horizon, that $100 difference is going to become even more important, and it's going to become much harder for Nintendo to get that price down. So you might start with a smaller user base that's going to grow more slowly over time. What do you need to do? Well, you need to have excellent games. Now, Nintendo has excellent games. Well, you guys think Nintendo has excellent games, but do they have enough of them? It's almost a good sign at the outset that they're not launching with Metroid, that they're not launching with the Mario, that they're not launching with the Zelda. You don't want to use your best stuff when you have your smallest user base. And that's a good sense that maybe there's a Mario next year, there's a Zelda a year after that, but there needs to be a constant supply of quality games to justify that investment. Let's take a memory all the way back to the Wii. It launched, it was exciting. They had one of the most brilliant marketing campaigns ever. It sold to all these people, some of the most casual people in the world, and then they stopped putting games out for the core audience, and we got bored. It became a joke. It became a doorstop. That second half of the life cycle of a console is not supposed to be based on the purchases of the console, but the purchases of the games for a console that's in everybody's home. And there just weren't any of those games out there, or not enough of them, to be able to make that much money, to be able to keep the Wii top of mind. The one exception, obviously, is Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, which Shane and I will both tell you is one of the greatest games ever made. But that's just not enough. That's just not enough at the end of the day. And I would say, even with the Switch, even with 2 Zelda games during one console, there was only one Mario game, and there wasn't that kind of triple A Nintendo franchise that was established during that life to sort of add to that library, add to that excitement, offer up 3, 4, 5, 6 sequels down the line. That's where the challenge is for Nintendo. So in terms of the very long-term prospects for the Switch 2, I mean, that's a big shadow that the Switch cast. Was it 160 million units sold? I don't think it's going to reach that number. It's going to get very close. Let's say 135, 130. If the console lasts longer in its life than the Switch 1 did, which was a pretty long life, I think that number could start to go northwards. And once again, it all comes down to how many Marios, how many Zeldas, how many Metroids, and how many new franchises that are on that level that Nintendo can put out.
So there you go. That's Adam Sessler's take on the Switch 2. He seems concerned about cadence, software cadence.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's like one thing per month, but that doesn't mean everything that comes out once a month is interesting.
Yeah.
Like the next thing I'm really interested in, the only thing I'm truly interested in first party right now on the schedule is Metroid.
Yeah.
And after that, nothing. Like, I'm mildly curious about Pokemon Z to A, but like for the most part, like the launch, the first party lineup right now for this system is nothing to me.
It is pretty abysmal.
I don't care about Mario.
It's one of Nintendo's worst launch lineups.
I don't care about Donkey Kong. I don't really care about any of the other stuff they're doing. I care about whatever 3D Mario and then the next Zelda, and that's about it. I mean,
well,
Fire Emblem. Like,
interesting you should mention that, because we also have Michael Pachter's very last prediction for Nintendo Switch 2, and it follows a lot of the similar lines that you were just talking about. Here he is.
Switch 2, it's happening. It's real. This is the first week in June. We're getting it. Mine is someplace in transit. It's coming. I haven't touched it yet. I can honestly tell you I'm pretty excited about it. And more so because I'm not a big Mario Kart World person. I'm not going to probably play that game more than the tutorial. I have a copy of Civilization. I haven't even bothered, but it's going to show up on my Switch too. I'm going to play it. So I'm very, very excited about the arrival of the device. I'm psyched that they have games like that. I think that predictions are kind of odd because it's pretty easy early on in a hardware cycle to predict that demand will be high. And so the harder part is predicting what supply is going to look like. Nintendo's talking about 15 million or so. They will make 15 million or so. Realistically, the way that they manage the supply chain is that they order enough components to make what they predict they're going to sell, so 15 million with a cushion probably of 3 million. So I'd say realistically they're going to make 18 million the first year, and that works out nice and conveniently to 1.5 million per month in manufacturing. And I think that's what they're doing. So the open question is, where are they producing them? And normally we wouldn't even talk about this, but we have the Orange Menace tariff king in the White House right now, and he's decided weekly to change his tariffs on different countries. They flat out told me that they had shipped as many units as they could prior to April 2nd. And again, I don't think they really started manufacture till end of February, early March. So my guess is that the first 1 or 1.5 million units flowed into the United States. Since then, probably 500,000 a month coming from Vietnam, and who knows what they've done with production since. But they're trying to minimize tariffs. So my guess is there will be around 2 million at launch available, and they'll sell out immediately in the US. There will be around 2 million rest of world at launch, and they'll sell out immediately. So I suspect that we're going to see tight supply through Christmas, and that by through I mean until after Christmas. I think around January you might get lucky and start to find devices, and we're going to know literally one day after launch. Go to eBay. If the price is $900, you can't get one at a store. If the price is $459 or $479, then they're available at stores. If they ship a Switch here and sell it, they get, let's just say, the equivalent of 150 yen per dollar. And if they sell it in Japan, they get 100 yen, per 100 yen. The point is, they make about 50% more profit by selling the Switch here. Normally, they get a lot of demand in Japan, and early on, they supply Japanese demand. I suspect they won't be as aggressive to supply Japanese demand because it costs them money to sell them there, and they make money here. But we'll see. That'll be the real interesting outcome, to see if they're starved in Japan more so than in the US. I think the 15 million number is light. I think they will manufacture and ship and sell through 18 million. My published estimate is right in between those two, 16.5 million, because I don't know how many they're going to actually ship. Lifetime, I really think it matters if they bring it down in price, and they haven't done that with the Switch. So, you kind of saw Switch sales stabilize in that mid-teens, 15, 18 million for a few years, and then start to decline because they didn't cut the price. That's different from what they did with handhelds. You saw the Nintendo DS and 3DS come out around $200 and drop to like 129, which is a pretty material decline in price. If they keep this thing at 449, if tariffs stabilize to something reasonable, 10% or less, I think lifetime this thing probably sells 90 million, 100 million. It'll be a stretch to get to 100 million unless it has a longer than 7 year life cycle. And I'm picking seven because this is the first time that Nintendo has made a follow-on device that's just like the other one, but a little bit bigger for many years, for over a decade. They did it with the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. Those are slightly better, but then you got the clamshell Game Boy SP or whatever it was called, and then they went to the DS and the 3DS. So the last one that I remember that they did an iteration on the same device was the DS becoming the 3DS, and that doesn't really extend the life cycle that far. Nintendo did this obviously with the NES and the Super NES, But I think that the life cycle of this device is probably 6 years and possibly 7. So I'd say 90 to 100 million is probably the right number. If they drop price, if the thing comes down to $300, then forget it. All bets are off. They could sell 150 million. And the open question for them is, do they want more hardware in the hands of consumers? Yes, they do. Will they sell more software? Of course they will, and they'll make a lot more money. So, they'll push it down the cost curve if they can, and they're not as interested in making outsized hardware profit. I think they're really interested in passing that along to the consumer. So it'll be interesting to see what the bill of materials is, the buildup of this thing. If they can produce it for $200 in the next 3 or 4 years, they'll sell it for 300, like no problem at all. And again, tariffs are a big unknown. Fortunately, tariffs are gone when Trump is gone. I frankly think that the troll army of Nintendo fanboys could actually bring Trump down. The lifetime, success of the device. Obviously, price matters, as I said, but what matters also is software support. Nintendo's been pretty phenomenal at keeping a steady, pace of really big game releases. I'm very excited that we finally are getting a Mario Kart world with this device. We're going to need a Smash Brothers. We're going to need a Super Mario Brothers. We're going to need a Zelda. Those are all coming. I think it's too soon for a new Zelda. They're talking about it, obviously, but Tears of the Kingdom wasn't that long ago. But they're doing a really smart thing to remaster a lot of older games like Breath of the Wild, which I haven't played in 10 years. So, I'm kind of looking forward to that. And yes, I know we have to pay for them, but let's be real, they're worth it. I am also impressed with my good friend John Vignacchi, who is in charge of third-party publisher relations. He got Civilization on there. That's a Take-Two title. He got Cyberpunk on there. That's a CD Projekt title. Pretty impressive. I don't think it's going to take very long before we see a lot of more current generation games like those getting onto the Switch. And it also is a testament to the power of the Switch too, that it's good enough to play Cyberpunk. That's pretty damn good. So I'm pretty excited, and as I said, I'm going to play those games. I don't know if we're going to get like new release Call of Duty on the Switch 2 anytime soon. We're going to get older ones, and I think let's see what the reception for that is. But again, you're going to keep buying a PlayStation or an Xbox because you want to play Grand Theft Auto, and I get that. And fortunately for Nintendo, Grand Theft Auto got delayed, so people don't have to decide. PC gamers who don't have a console yet don't have to choose between a PlayStation and a Switch 2. They're going to buy the Switch 2 until May of next year. So I'm pretty psyched about it. I think the device is going to be a big hit. I cannot imagine anybody being dissatisfied with it. I heard some complaining, obviously, about the $449 price point pre-tariff. Just keep in mind that, in 2000 or 2001, the GameCube was like, whatever, 200 or $300. I can't remember. PlayStation was $300, and that would be over 500 now. So, just in terms of normal inflation, it's not crazy for Nintendo to expect you to pay $449.
So there you go. Opinions on Switch 2 from two industry luminaries. Everybody kind of has a different take. Pachter was saying he thinks it's only going to get to like 90 million. And he's, as you guys just saw, he has a lot of reasoning behind that. And he is talking mostly about the tariffs. Like, he seems to think the tariffs are probably going to go away, though. We'll see. Who knows? You wake up one day, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, one way or the other, it still doesn't really matter because you can't trust any of it. Like,
right.
A business can't operate without predictability.
Yeah.
And, like, he could come out tomorrow and be like, I was wrong about all the tariff stuff. I'm never going to enact a tariff again for the rest of my presidency and/or presidencies. Who knows? But no one would trust him because he just lies all the time.
He's a liar.
And he changes his mind all the time.
Yeah.
So you can't run a business like that. You can't
You can't
plan.
You can't make a big bet
that this is what something's going to cost.
Yeah.
Like
it's. I think the tariffs are going to bite into it big time.
Oh yeah, or you could just like ship it. I mean, I've been getting. I have a number of companies that I buy things from. Collectibles and things from overseas and stuff. and a bunch of them started sending stuff through random companies here that I've never heard of before. These little like companies that don't sell things I buy, like beauty products and rims and things.
Like car rims.
And I'm like, why am I getting a bunch of wheels from a car place in Oklahoma? And like it shows up and it's a fucking transformer, and it's like that's how you get around the tariff.
Because this whole thing was so poorly
Because all
thought
you do
out.
is you say it's something else
Yeah.
that isn't tariffed as high.
They were not
and no one
prepared
fucking
for this.
checks
They-
because there's no. They fired everybody.
it's a joke,
It's so
dude.
fucking stupid.
It is, dude. We are living in the dumbest timeline in the history of America. It just really is so sad. But anyway, so I think you got all different perspectives on Switch 2 at this point. You got Matt's take, you got my take, you got Adam's take, you got Patrick's take, and all of them were a little different and kind of covered a different angle. But I think at this point you probably have a pretty good understanding of Switch 2. Probably have a good idea whether you want to buy one or not. Probably have a good idea whether you're going to get a lot of use out of one over the next few months or not. And that's kind of our goal here on GameFace, is to get you informed so you know how you should spend your money, or if you should spend your money at all. So there you go. That's Nintendo Switch 2. We'll be talking about it for the next 8 to 10 years. Yep. And then, as we say hello to Switch 2, we're saying goodbye to the first Switch. And so I just want to spend a couple minutes sort of reflecting on the first Nintendo Switch. Matt, what does it mean to you, the first Switch? What are you going to remember it for 10 years from now?
Being an underpowered little thing that I didn't really want but had to have to play Nintendo games.
Yeah?
I don't have a lot of affection for the Switch.
Yeah.
I think it was a great idea that worked in the market, but it was a very little use to me. I would very much have liked something that was more on the level of the power of the other systems that it was, alongside in its generation. I liked a number of the games. I like that all the Xenoblade games are in one place. That's great. But in general, just like every Nintendo system since 1996, it is yet again a system I buy to play Nintendo games, and that is it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way about every Nintendo platform. I do have some special reverence, though, for Switch. One, I appreciate that it brought Nintendo back from the brink. Because you got to realize its least successful console in the Wii U. And then not only that, to follow it up with a similar idea. Because let's be honest, like the second screen thing, that was all kind of birthed on Wii U.
Well, because the Wii U was like, it felt like the Switch, it felt like the Switch was the Wii U if they hadn't chickened out,
right?
Because like clearly the Wii U was sort of like, we want to make this the Switch or something like it, but we are too afraid to kill our handheld business.
Yeah.
And it took the failure of the Wii U for them to say, like, we just need to make this one thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that the Wii U kind of brought them to their senses.
Yeah.
And made them unify everything. That seems to have been a good choice in the end, just in terms of, even if I don't care about a lot of it, the actual software output is way more steady on the Switch than it ever was.
It's the best for Nintendo's ever had.
Probably since the
SNES,
Super Nintendo.
maybe. Yeah, I agree.
So that was clearly a good decision for everybody involved, not just Nintendo themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's frustrating that the large part of the use case for this thing is useless to me. But like the library is good.
Really good.
They really did a good job with that over time.
Would like to have seen more than one Mario. 3D
would have been
Mario,
nice to see more than one Mario, but I got a lot of Fire Emblem.
We got 2 Zeldas.
I got my issues with those Zeldas. But,
we both do.
we got the remake. We got the Link's Awakening remake, and we got Echoes of Wisdom, which finally has favorites now. They just updated that. You can favorite
Thank
Echoes.
you.
A little late, but here we are.
Yeah.
Obviously you had Smash, but probably your. I mean, I know everybody loves the Zelda games more than I do, and everybody loves this game more than I do. But I think the actual top crown jewel of the Switch is Smash Brothers Ultimate. I think that is kind of the pinnacle. Like, I have a feeling that is the best that series is ever going to be.
Yeah, probably.
I
don't know how you can improve it.
I don't know. I think it's the best it's ever been, and I feel like you don't improve. I feel like the wise choice is just to carry that forward and keep adding on to it.
Yeah.
Make it its own platform. Like, don't start over again.
Yeah.
Just keep going, because I think you've got it. I appreciated and this is just me, I appreciated the weird little renaissance of licensed Muso games.
Yeah,
because I think
that
that
did happen.
I think Fire Emblem
really good.
Not three houses.
It's the three something or
Three
other.
something. Three hopes. Is that it?
Yeah, something like that.
I think that might be the best Muso game ever made.
Or definitely the most recent one. The
Yeah.
best recent one for sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Certainly, the Origins was a pretty big shakeup. I like that one a lot too. But like, I played that second Fire Emblem Muso game for forever.
Me too.
Like,
I played it.
very,
I
very
finished it.
good.
I never finished Muso games.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot. It's like the little like side stuff. I mean, it was a big system for Kirby. Not just because he just wouldn't fucking go away, but because a couple of those games are really good.
Yeah.
It was his first real 3D game.
Yeah.
Fully 3D controlling.
Yeah, 3D
game.
movement. Yeah.
And that's still being added to. So
yeah, the other updating that for Switch too.
I would argue that it brought the multi. I don't care about it, but it brought multiplayer into focus for Nintendo properly with Splatoon and arguably ARMS.
Online multiplayer is kind of functional at least.
Yeah, they figured it out for the most part.
Yeah.
Now other than the chat button, obviously we're gonna finally step into the fucking the
Zoom
2010s basically, right? And what was the other thing I was gonna say? There was one other thing that I thought was a nice little it was just sort of like how they've embraced like the weird third tier stuff that you never would see them bring over before, like another code.
Emio, that game that they put out,
and like just the weird like the visual novels, not the porn stuff, but like
the real Japanese visual
it sounds
novels.
like we might be getting like a Hotel Dusk follow up soon. There's some leaks about that. Just going all in on that kind of thing is fun. Like or the Famicom Detective series, bringing that over after 30 some years. Like sort of really embracing their whole catalog has been nice to see. In part because they just need content.
Yep.
But like they've done a good job with it, I think.
I agree. I think they've done an amazing job with their software cadence. It's incredible.
And I think they found their. I mean, I was not thrilled with their early stuff. But I think they found their way away from the whole snipper clips labo nonsense.
Yeah.
And they've just sort of like, hey, what if we just made compelling, interesting games?
Although it looks like a sequel to Ring Fit Adventures coming.
Well, I can't blame them for that because that thing sold like
it
water.
It did sell well.
Like it's like you gotta follow that up.
Yeah. I think my perspective on the first Switch is one, like I said, I appreciate that it kind of saved Nintendo after the Wii U. Also, by the way, GameShare uses the Wii U tech to beam the video signal to the other Switches, which is kind of cool that Nintendo's still using that. But it kind of saved Nintendo after the Wii U because that was an unmitigated disaster. And then what I really appreciate about it is that it created another generation of gamers. So all my nieces and nephews, they grew up with the Switch. It's been 8 years. So they went from like being a 4 or 5 year old to being like a teen with their Switch. And now they're gamers. And they love gaming. And they talk to their Uncle Shane about gaming every time we hang out. And like you need Nintendo for that. To create this next generation of players that eventually are probably going to move on from Nintendo and get a PlayStation or get an Xbox or get Game Pass or whatever. But we need things to create these generations so that our industry stays healthy going forward. Nintendo is always going to be the key to that. So anytime Nintendo is healthy, that means that the industry, the future of the industry in general, is going to be healthy. And so I think, for me anyway, that feels like the most important thing that the Switch did. Personally, seeing my nieces and nephews and all that stuff growing up with it. So I am very appreciative of Nintendo for getting all my relatives into gaming. So that was a big part. And again, the software is just probably the best platform for Nintendo software ever. Between the stuff that they're making new for the platform and how they've handled all the back platforms, you said bringing back some of these old things that most people don't even know about. I just feel like Nintendo's done a really good job making sure that there's always something worthwhile to play for almost every type of player pretty much all year long. The last 12 months have been a little bumpy, and I did think that meant that we were going to have a great launch. So I'm a little surprised that Switch 2's launch software isn't better than it is, but at the same time, 8 years of Switch, it stayed relevant pretty much until the end. That's unheard of for Nintendo or pretty much any other platform holder. So yeah, I am appreciative of the Switch more than I look back on it and say it was great. It's like, I appreciate you. So those are kind of my impressions of Switch. And I didn't use handheld that much, but I did use it a little bit more than you. But for the most part, I'm kind of like you. Like, I didn't get the full functionality of Switch like all my younger relatives were. Like, they only played it handheld. Like, they never docked the thing. So it is two different ways, but Nintendo found a way to please both sides, and that's hard. So I think Nintendo did a great job with the Switch. I think it's a little bit in danger with Switch 2. It can't rest on its laurels or keep thinking that it can just keep doing the same thing and stay successful for another 8 years. So I think that's kind of the X factor with Switch 2, is not resting on the laurels of Switch 1 too much. So we'll see how that all plays out. But there you go. We bid adieu. Should I play taps for Nintendo Switch 1?
Nah, it ain't dead.
It ain't dead. It does still work. So maybe someday when Nintendo stops manufacturing Switch 1, we'll give it to taps, but not yet. All right. Let's move on. We're going to talk next about Elden Ring Nightreign, and I did make one mistake for today's show. I totally forgot to bring the B-roll for Elden Ring Nightreign. So people who are watching the archive of this, you're going to see B-roll. People who are watching it live, you're not. But here's the thing. I didn't even need to record new B-roll for this. So if you remember, I covered Elden Ring Nightreign. I played in the beta, and I talked about it. And now I have played the final version for pretty much a whole weekend straight. And I really struggle to come up with any new angles on the game. Pretty much what I gleaned from it, from its beta, are the same things I feel right now after I've played the final retail version for 4 or 5 days. It still is a far more accessible take on From Software's games. Having 2 other people there to help you out, to distract enemies, to revive you when you die, it changes everything about From Software's games. And I will say this, like, Matt, you weren't into it. I assumed a lot of From Software fans weren't into it, but man, it's selling through the freaking roof. So some people are definitely into it, From Software fans. I think in the end of the day, they're like, man, I don't think I can pass buying a From Software game.
I don't know. From what I've seen, I don't think it is largely From Software.
Oh, really?
People. I think it's the people who liked Elden Ring.
Like me, who can only play Elden Ring and can't play the rest of their games.
Yeah. There's also some crossover with Monster Hunter people that I've seen.
So by the 3rd day of playing the retail game, that was my epiphany. This is just Monster Hunter for people who like From Software. It really does feel that way. The hunt part of it isn't as big as it is in Monster Hunter, where you can lay traps and bait and all that kind of stuff. It's just the core part of it, which is just fighting gigantic monsters with the help of other people. Battler. It really is, yeah. Because the rank and file enemies are there just so that you can level up, so that you can take on the big bosses. So how it works for some of you maybe who missed my impressions from the beta is it's you and 2 other players. You select from, like, I think there's 8 or 10 classes or something like that. And then you just get dropped into this world and you start hacking up, like, I guess in MOBAs you call them creeps. They're basically just enemy fodder there to let you level up, basically.
Right. In MMOs, you'd be calling them mobs.
Right. Same thing. They're just like these...
If you just want to suck all the mystique out of every single thing you're playing.
Pretty much. And that's what this game is about. You plump down, and then immediately, like 30 feet away, there's a little patch of grass that has like 10 enemies in it. By the time you kill them, you're level 2. And you have to go to this game's version of the bonfires to level up. But you kill 3 enemies, you're at level 2. And it makes a big difference. The next gaggle of enemies that you fight, you take them down way easier just from that one level. That's one thing I will say about this game. You really feel the levels in this. So much so that, like, when you die and you don't get revived fast enough, you drop a level and you feel it right away. You're like, oh, I'm fighting for my life now. Whereas before, I was the master. And now I'm the slave. I'm having to, like, survive these fights. So you definitely feel the difference in each level that you go up. But that's how it works. It's like the game presents you with these weaker enemies that you kill to level up, and then you eventually fight a boss. The one thing about this game that is driving me crazy, I played it all weekend. I never beat a level. Not once. I couldn't beat it in the beta, and I still haven't beaten one in the retail. Because you rely so much on your fellow players. Like, I learned in the beta that you get into the world and you figure out where the churches are. Because the churches, you get a flask. It upgrades your flask by 1. So by the end of the beta, the people I was playing with, we had all figured it out. You just get together and just run from church to church and upgrade your flask count. So you have like 6, 7 flasks. Then it makes the whole rest of the thing much easier. But it felt like with the retail thing, everybody had to learn that all over again, and nobody was learning it. So you jump in with 2 people. A lot of times people just go their separate ways and everybody dies and the thing just ends. Every once in a while, you play with people who are good and people who understand how the game works. We still couldn't beat the final boss. Like, you go through 2 days, then on the 3rd day, you go through this gate that takes you to, like, this ethereal world where you basically fight, like, impossible bosses. And I was at the point yesterday where pretty much every round now, we were making it to that area where you fight the big boss, and, like, we couldn't even get it halfway down before we die. So I played this game for a weekend. It was enough. Having played the beta, I played this hardcore for like 3 or 4 days, the retail version. and I'm pretty much good at this point. Here's the thing, though. It costs $40. And I definitely got $40 of entertainment out of that game over the course of like 4 or 5 days. I played it pretty hardcore for like 2 days, and then the last 2 days off and on. I definitely got $40 of entertainment out of it. So I wouldn't feel slighted by buying it, and I would feel okay with recommending people buy this as well, as long as they know what they're getting into. And to your point about like if you're a From Software fan, if you will like this, I think you'll like parts of it. I think there will be other parts that will drive you crazy, like relying on other people, because you can't really do this on your own. You can play by yourself. It's really hard. They nerfed it on day one for single players, and now they're working on duos because people are requesting duos. Right now, you can play by yourself and with 3 players. By yourself is pretty much impossible. And with 3 players, I found it to also be impossible because you have to rely on both players knowing what they're doing and being good and being smart and conscientious. Sometimes you die, and the people you're playing with just run away. Like, I don't care. I'm not reviving you. Like, everyone has their own goals, I guess, when they jump into this game and what they want to do with it and what they want the game to be. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I could never find 2 other people that we could complete a freaking mission. In the beta or in the retail version. So I think they probably should nerf that final day, the 3rd day, and make the enemies in there, at least the first couple days or the first couple missions, a little easier. But to your point, Matt, it is structured very much like Monster Hunter. Like, you have a little base that you sit in, and when you come back, there's really no story to this at all. There's an opening cinematic that gives you a premise or whatever, and that's pretty much it. Like, you will find stuff, and you go back to the home base, and there's like this weird, creepy girl there. Eventually, you find a pocket watch, and when you get back to the base, you give it to her, and then she becomes a playable character. So there's little stuff like that that happens where you're bringing stuff back. But for the most part, you die, you get your rewards. They're usually runes that you get. And then those runes you can attach to your character, and that's where the roguelite stuff comes into play. With that run, the runes that you collect, you can then attach to your player, and on your next run, you'll have buffs basically for your character. I'll say this, like, it felt like a lot of the classes weren't getting the runes that were right for them. Like, for example, I generally play with the sword and board guy, but like the 3 runes that I'm allowed to assign to him, 2 of them are for magic. And I'm like, why? Like, why are you giving me these magic runes to try to assign to this guy? Like, they don't work with this character at all. So there's a little bit of goofy stuff like that, and I'm sure if somebody digs into the numbers, they'll tell me I'm crazy or whatever. I'm just telling you my experience anecdotally from playing the game. I felt like the characters that I was playing with weren't getting the runes that would actually make them better out in the field of play. So the other thing I would say too, though, is someone who has struggled to play From Software games in the past, and maybe you spend a bunch of time on them, not get much out of them. You get a lot out of these games. You defeat big bosses in this. You may not defeat the boss at the end, but you're still fighting bosses that are like 3 stories high or whatever. Like, in a lot of From Software games, I can never beat those guys. In this, I can, with the help of other people. And that does feel pretty good and empowering. So it does feel like the From Software game for people who don't like From Software games. So I can see where you're probably like, nah, this isn't for me. I totally get that. But for someone like me who wants to like From Software games, because I love the art and the enemies and the creatures and the level design and all this other stuff about it, but just doesn't like how punishingly difficult it is, this is a good happy medium. So if you're someone like me, if you like everything about From's games, like all the crazy enemies that they create and things like that, and you like the action RPG, the frame-based combat and stuff like that, but you can't get over the difficulty, this is a great option. Again, I played it for like 4 or 5 days. I felt like I got everything that I needed out of it in that amount of time. If I played with better players, it probably would be a lot better. And here's the thing, like, you can totally match up with friends. So I don't have anyone to play this with. If I had 2 friends who were friends of mine and liked it as much as I did and cared about it as much as I did, and I could communicate with them through like Discord or something, it would be better. But in this game, all you have are emotes. You can't communicate to people. You can't like start a match and be like, okay, let's just hit all the churches and get the flasks. There's no way to tell them to do that. You can mark stuff on the map to try to tell people. Nobody looks at that stuff. So it does feel like you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants most of the time when you're playing the game, and I don't generally like games that are like that, and games that are like that I do like are when it's like some crazy thing out of like Suda 51's games are very good at stuff like that. So I enjoy it in some contexts, not in the context in this game. So I will say for $40, it's worth $40. Like Matt, even you, I think, would get $40 of entertainment out of it if you played it.
I will never play it.
But you won't, right? And I think a lot of people like you are probably smart to not play it, because I do think there are things in there that will infuriate you if you really like.
Every single choice they've made is the opposite of what I like about From games.
Yeah.
So that will no interest.
I get that. I do think that this is the game for people like me who have wanted to play From Software's games all along and would play them for a couple hours and be like, screw this. This one does not frustrate you to the point. The things that are going to frustrate you more than the enemies in the game are the people that you're playing with. That's the funny part about it. They're the real danger, the people that you're playing cooperatively with. So anyway, that's Elden Ring Nightreign. It is $40. It's available for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes to Switch 2 in the very near future, because it's not a looker at all.
Yeah, although Switch 2 is getting their own From games.
Right. Yeah, what's it? Dusk something or other?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. It was hard for me to remember the name the first time I heard it. It's like Dusk Brothers or
Bloodborne
something.
Nightreign, basically.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But again, if you're like me and you like everything about From Software games except for the excruciating difficulty, I think you'll enjoy it. It's definitely not a good-looking game. I will just say that right now. And I do wonder if, like, I booted up Elden Ring now, if I would also think it doesn't look that good. But this game is definitely rough around the edges graphics-wise. Like, it just doesn't have a lot of the flair that modern games do. It looks like it could run on a PS4, I guess is how I would put it, even though it doesn't for whatever reason. So anyway, there you go. That's Elden Ring Nightreign, definitely the biggest game release of the week. And you're not going to play it, Matt?
Nope.
Okay, now it's time to maybe talk about what, for a lot of you, might be the biggest topic of this week's episode of GameFace, because maybe you're not a Nintendo fan, maybe you're not a From Software fan, but if you're not, then you probably are a PlayStation fan. And yesterday, PlayStation basically had its E3 2025 press conference. And Matt, what were your kind of overarching impressions of the Sony State of Play?
It was pretty good, but they clearly didn't have like a big gun. It was just sort of like, here we're filling out our release schedule for the second half of the year with what we got.
Yeah.
But what we got is Ghosts of Yotei and a bunch of little things.
Mm-hmm.
Several of which were interesting, like several of which I'm on board for.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a usual Sony thing, because Sony would usually sprinkle in, like, you know, they'd anchor it with like 3 big AAA things, and they didn't have any of those except for Ghosts.
Even Ghost of Yotei, what they showed, I was like, maybe you shouldn't have shown that.
Well, they it said like we'll have a big blowout of the gameplay in like July or something. Yeah. But it was like, it just seemed like they were sort of we're doing that. If you already knew about it, they didn't really spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
What struck me about it is how Japanese it all was.
Yeah. And
I do wonder if this is intentional, because it does feel like Japanese games are having a renaissance. It feels like players are starting to turn their backs on Western-developed games a little bit because they're being too formulaic, and they're kind of turning towards Japanese-developed games that are maybe a little different and a little off the beaten path. And
I don't know how well that'll hold when the rubber meets the road on things like Romeo is a dead man thing. Like, it's just like, okay, sure, whatever.
But there was a lot.
I love you, Suda, but like, come on.
So obviously, there was a bunch of games. It was supposed to be 40 minutes. It was almost an hour. Mm-hmm. It went way over how long it was supposed to be. But of all the games that I want to talk about, let me find like Western developed games. There's 1, 2, 3. 3 Western developed games.
As long as one of them is the giant squid game.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but 3 out of all of the games that they showed were made.
Yeah, a lot of the Western games were going to be games as a service, and we're not talking about them right now.
Seriously, you're right.
Also,
actually.
I can't imagine that a lot of people in the industry aren't looking at Capcom and being like, we should be doing more shit like that.
Right.
Because Capcom's like growing.
Well, notice Capcom was in this.
Yeah.
With a game that I thought might be canceled, but it's not. First up, though, the game that they finished the whole thing with and ended up, I think, being the marquee game is a Marvel fighting game called Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls.
Yeah, well, that name's going to have to change.
For the West, you think?
It's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything.
Were you surprised they
Tokon means fighting spirits, so the game's name is Marvel Fighting Spirits Fighting Souls. Like, just change it to Marvel Tag Battle or some shit. Like, if you want this to spread beyond the general FGC enthusiast community, you got to name it something else. Like, this is a terrible name.
Yeah.
Also, I will say, like, I'm glad to see Marvel back. I physically hate the Iron Man design in this game.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I think that looks terrible.
I agree.
And I actually don't like Cap very much. Everyone else looks good. I really dislike the Cap and Iron Man designs in this game. Why does everybody have fur everywhere?
I don't know.
What is that?
Well, I mean, are you surprised that they gave this to Arc System Works?
I mean, it is a surprise that Arc System, like, not in the sense that Arc System Works can't handle it,
Yeah.
but in the sense that, like, I guess Capcom didn't want it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they had a whole thing after it where, like, the Arc guy talked about, like, you got invited out by the PlayStation guy, and they're like, hey, what would you think about doing this? And we partnered with you. So it's like, I guess if Capcom's not going to shit, get off the pot.
Yeah.
The memes of like Capcom crying over being like left for Arc has been very funny. Like,
Well, this is a PlayStation console exclusive. It's only coming to PS5 and PC.
which is all it really needs to do.
Yeah.
In the end,
It really is. It is coming in 2026 right now. Were you surprised that they showed this with the Japanese voice work?
no, I mean that's where it is. I mean,
Are you surprised Marvel allowed that?
No, I think they want people to know about this,
Yeah.
especially given like the Black Panther game just got killed. This is helpful to like feel like, you know, that Marvel video games are not dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Especially because of, you know,
It can feel that
the
way.
World War II one got pushed to next year. We don't have any news about Wolverine anytime
Yeah, what the
soon.
hell? Where's Wolverine?
So it's just nice to see that Marvel's kicking somewhere, literally in this game.
Yeah. 4v4 tag team fighting.
Yeah. And
And this Arc System works.
And
They're
it's nice
great.
to have this out like before Evo, so
Mhm.
it can be a topic at
Yeah.
Evo as well.
Yeah.
And they
I
can
was
probably
surprised,
now-
though, that this was the marquee game for basically their E3 press conference.
Well, and apparently there's tons of characters in this.
It sounds
They
like
were
it.
saying
It
that
sounds like
this-
there's going to be DLC for years.
Yeah, well, it's a 4v4, so you got to have a lot, and like, people are comparing this to what that 2x KO
Yeah,
thing.
Riot's
where, like,
fighter.
That's a tag fighter, but it's only got 10 characters in it, which is crazy.
That
Like,
is crazy. You're using every character every match.
So there's a lot of speculation. Like we might get, you know, there's background hints at some characters, and we don't know. You know, there's Thor obviously is back there. You can't imagine he's not going to be in it. There's a Dazzler,
I think they're all gonna be in it.
Dazzler reference.
Yeah.
There's a Daredevil reference.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is probably where we finally get Moon Knight as a fighting
Probably.
game character.
Yeah, I think so. So I was pleasantly surprised to see this, but surprised. I was like, wow, like that's not what I expected them to finish off.
I cannot believe this didn't leak.
I know.
Very impressive.
Hardly anything from this leak. Because the other thing is that they showed a fight stick.
Right.
It's called Project Defiant, and it is a PlayStation 5 only wireless or wired fight stick.
Yeah, I might get that. Like, I don't really have a good fight stick.
I don't
for
either.
PlayStation.
I don't have a fight stick right now for this gen at all.
Mm-hmm. I have previous gen stuff that can work with it, but I
Yeah.
don't have a current gen thing.
Yeah, it looks pretty slick.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think PlayStation could handle this. I don't think it.
Yeah. I mean, it's it makes sense to go this direction because they bought Evo.
Yeah.
I just didn't quite think
No.
they would. I mean, it's
Really
like, you
got
know,
me
like
off
it's just
guard.
like, oh wow, follow through. Look at
Yeah.
that, Sony. Well done. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, cool. I'm into it.
No price or release date yet. Also, they'll change the name of it before it comes out.
Yeah.
Right now, it's called Project Defiant, but who knows what it'll be when
It'll be
it's
the
all said and done.
PlayStation fight stick or
Probably, yeah, something crappy like that. But anyway, that's still in development. It's not coming for a little while. And then I think the biggest third-party game that was shown, at least because it was debuted, is 007 First Light, which features a brand new James Bond. It is a prequel that explains the origin of James Bond. He's kind of like a snot-nosed little punk in this. I was kind
he's
of
pretty young in this.
surprised. Yeah. I mean, what it feels like is this is just going to be Hitman with a 007 spray
Well, I
paint.
don't think it looks like Hitman at all.
Really?
No. I mean, I think it will use the same kind of puzzle box level design where,
Yeah.
like, you've got a bunch of interconnecting things that happen, but there's way more explosions. And I mean,
No,
it's
that's true.
clearly much bigger. There's a driving
Way more
thing.
shooting in this,
Yeah.
driving.
So I think it will have kind of their trademark sort of, here's a situation, deal
Figure
with
it
it
out. Yeah.
sort of thing. But I think you'll be more free to, like, be a little louder in
Yeah.
this way. I don't think there's going to be stealth as a necessity in this. I do think it's very interesting that the James Bond in this is to a T the description of him in the book.
Oh. Well, that makes sense.
That is exactly what he looks like. I mean, he's older even when he debuts in the book. But like From Russia with Love, that scar, the scar on his cheek, that's directly from the book.
Oh.
And like the cruel mouth, and he's about 6 feet, 167 pounds, black hair with a little comma of hair over his forehead, which you don't see so much with this version, but I think it's because he's younger. But the fact that he had the scar and that the shape of his mouth, because the closest of the actors who've ever played Bond to the book version of Bond is Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton looks the most like the book version of Bond, and the book version of Bond is a crueler, nastier person.
He looks like Nathan Drake.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Well, he's a more broken person, and they hint at that in this, where like he lost both his parents, and he doesn't know, he's a bullet that doesn't know where to be fired, kind of thing.
Sleeping Turtle 3 is asking is Troy Baker doing the VO because it sounded like him.
It did kind of sound like him, and you're usually, if you bet Troy Baker on just about any male voice acting role these days, you got a 50-50 shot. Pretty much.
You're right. It is crazy, man. How many gigs he gets.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. He's good, but dang, man, he's not that good.
He's good, but I think he's very easy to work with.
Yeah.
I think is the key. He's very easy to work with, and he can do mocap.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Anybody.
It really does.
So,
yep.
He's the total package. That's the key.
So this is the first look at this. It's not coming out, they say, until 2026. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2027. But IO has kind of wrapped up development on Hitman for a while now, so it probably has all its resources going towards this. It reminds me a lot of Mission Impossible for the N64. It feels like it's just this crazy mashup of like all these different gameplay styles and types. Like it feels like one mission you're driving, one mission you're shooting a gun, the next mission you're drugging somebody in the bathroom.
Well, here's the thing. I think these are all the same mission.
Oh, really?
Like I think you'll be doing all of that possibly
in one mission. That'd be cool.
Because that's what they do. That's what I think this is an expansion of the Hitman puzzle box idea, where instead of everything has to be like a weird stealth trick disguise thing, you can do that, but if it gets loud, you might end up having to chase him in a fucking Aston Martin. You don't know. You might have to blow up the fucking boiler room. You don't know. Like that's James Bond. This might be the most accurate translation of how James Bond functions in any game ever, including GoldenEye, because GoldenEye, while it's a great game, is not very Bondy because he generally does not murder 4,000 people out in the open in those things. So this is, if they pull this off, it's going to be a new template for how a secret agent game works.
We need a good 007 game. It's been way too long.
I have my weird prediction on this is that I think, in a very unfortunate way, I think this game and the new Splinter Cell that's rumored are both going to come out around the same time, and this is going to eat Splinter Cell for lunch.
Yeah, because there's not much affinity for Splinter Cell among like the younger generation.
And I can't see Ubisoft breaking the mold with that very much. And this is going to be like an RPG coming out alongside Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
It's gonna be like Veilguard and Baldur's Gate 3. Doesn't matter how good Splinter Cell is, Baldur's Gate 3 or First Light is going to be like, oh, this is how this should be from now on.
Yeah.
And so I think a similar thing like that might happen here.
Okay.
And I encourage it in the sense that, like, James Bond needs, especially because it sounds like it's gonna be a while before we have any decent James Bond movies because of the new purchase and how they're gonna have to organize with that. And the first thing that apparently got pitched that ruined everything for the relationship between the Broccoli family and Amazon was they wanted to do a Moneypenny sequel or prequel or something. And it's like I don't know what the obsession is with making TV shows about prequels of secondary characters, but like stop it.
Nobody cares.
Fucking stop it.
That's why they're a secondary character. Yeah.
The only hope here is that at least this is a younger kind of origin of Bond thing, so maybe that will stop Amazon from making an origin of Bond movie.
That's funny. Next up, we talked about this earlier. They showed a very brief trailer for Ghost of Yotei. This is basically just them pushing to a big state of play that's happening for this game in July. So next month, they're going to blow this game out big time in its own state of play. So this was just a little bit of a teaser. One thing I will say, though, it does feel like the marketing for this game so far has kind of sucked.
Well, there's no marketing for it yet.
Yeah, like the first trailer was okay. These last two have been really crappy. Like,
well, this is nothing. This is just a little...
This is just a tease to get people to July or whatever, but I'm just kind of curious why they would put it in here, but...
Just to remind you that it's their big thing of the year.
Is the wolf talking, by the way?
I can't tell.
It sounds like it, kind of.
It's kind of doing something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, talking animal spirits is not a new thing
right.
in
particularly
Japanese
in a game
mythology.
like this. Yeah.
So, I will say I did go back to Death Stranding to try to finish it before Death Stranding 2 comes out, and I swear to God, there's a oh, is it that one? No, it's Veilguard. I've also been trying to finish Veilguard. There's one of the bird sounds they use in Veilguard is the exact sound of the bird you're supposed to follow in Ghosts of Tsushima, and every time I hear it's that very clear whistle sound, and every time I look around, I'm like, where's the bird to follow? It's like Ghosts of Tsushima has trained me to hear that bird and be like, follow the bird.
That's crazy.
So yeah, having distinct things coming out of the wolf may not be out of character for the series. It's still the most interesting thing they've got in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But we just have to wait a little longer to see something specific.
Next up, long rumored and now is true, a remake of Final Fantasy Tactics coming to pretty much every platform. Also, I should mention that 007 is coming to PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch 2. They've already announced Switch 2 for that. Ghost of Yotei, obviously, just a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Now, the remake of Final Fantasy Tactics is called The Ivalice Chronicles. It's the second kind of remake of this game. The first one was for the PSP, and it also had its own subtitle or whatever. This one...
War of the Lion.
Yeah. What's cool about this one, though, is it will include both the old version of the game and the new version of the game.
Well, the PSP version, basically.
Right, yeah. So you can choose whether you want to play the PSP version or the one that they've reworked here. If you don't know, Final Fantasy Tactics, probably the best strategy RPG ever made.
100% disagree. I don't like this game at all.
Oh, you don't like it?
I hate Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, well, you're way out of the mean, though. There.
But I'm still right. Because it's a piece of shit. The tactics of this game is garbage. The story is phenomenal.
It is.
The soundtrack is one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
The art style and the Ivalice and all that's like phenomenal. The actual tactics gameplay, I would like to stab the person who made it. It is so stupid. And
it's
I'm
pretty
sure
simple.
It's been improved probably. Apparently they've done some tweaks on this, so maybe better. I just was it's a miracle if you can find two things that are next to each other that the fucking game agrees are actually next to each other. That you can only have 5 people on the field, which after someone coming off of Shining Forces is like, where's my fucking army, asshole? And then like they're like, oh, you can bring a chocobo with you. Why would I bring a fucking chocobo with you? Because it's one of my slots. I've annihilated a fifth of my firepower to ride around on a giant bird, and I can't even use my fucking magic when I do. It's stupid. It's a stupid fucking game.
Well, people love it for the story.
Because they never played one of these games before. That's why. It was a bunch of people that never played one of these things before, and they thought it was amazing because they had no experience with it.
I mean, this is also a very old game. There weren't a lot of games before this in this style. So.
Oh, there were tons of games like that. There was all the Shining Forces and the Albert Odyssey. I mean, there was a lot of stuff like this, but there just wasn't anything that was this prominent after Final Fantasy VII.
They never caught on.
Well, because it was after Final Fantasy VII, and all of a sudden everybody was paying attention to anything with Final Fantasy on the name on the cover.
Yep.
And so, and again, presentationally, there's nothing else like this. It like the sound and music and the just the general look of it. There was nothing else. And the story, again, the story is very good. The story is Suikoden 2 good. In terms of like kind of the weird betrayal and the scope and it's just the actual gameplay and the tactics battles I think are terrible.
I don't think they're terrible. I think they're derivative and basic.
Yeah, I mean that's terrible to me.
Now it does feel a little.
And then on the PSP, you didn't even have the bonus of the terrible translation with all the weird dialogue errors. It was always like, oh, it's okay, it's very improved. Yeah. So we'll see how this, whatever the tweaks they make on this with you can play as either the War of the Lions version or you can play like the new version, which is fully voiced, 100%, which is an interesting choice. That's actually not cheap, so I'm impressed by that.
Oh, they're going to make their money back.
And I assume they're going to
add.
Then
some.
I assume there will be some ads changes where you can rewind stuff, and because that was one of the things, like you can't take shit back in that game. Yeah. And so I imagine they're going to make it way easier for your average player now.
It can be a little brutal. It's coming out on September 30th, and it's coming to pretty much everything. So
my two out of step opinions of PS1 era Square is this and Xenogears are fucking dog shit games that have
I think people will fight you on this more than Xenogears.
Probably, but you'd be surprised. But I like again, presentationally, art style, music in both those games phenomenal. Actual game horrible.
All right.
Hate them.
Okay.
Hate them.
Next up, a game that I hate or a franchise that I hate, Neo 3.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody went crazy about this one, but I was like, okay, again?
Yeah.
I'm interested in that they seem to have sort of incorporated some Rise of the Ronin into this a little bit, like in terms of the fighting and in terms of the open areas. Like it's not like running through a pathway as much as they would. But again, all I see is just like that fucking. I don't have the time. I don't have the time or the patience.
I'm surprised that they're doing another one of these because the second one didn't sell as well as the first, and
well, it sold better than Rise of the Ronin, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So you're right. Maybe that's the decision that they had to make there. Is like, do we do another Neo or do we do a sequel to that?
Yeah, and they already got a Ninja Gaiden in the pipeline.
Yeah, it's already coming. So I wish Team Ninja would move on from this franchise. I really love Team Ninja, but I can't stand these games. And look, I know some of you guys love it. I totally respect that some of you guys like Neo. I do not. I'm not a big Souls fan, and to me, this is the worst of them all. As far as the stuff that bothers me about Souls-likes. So,
it is definitely the hardest one to play.
Yeah.
I never really got my head around it, and I didn't really care. That I
This
didn't get my
looks
head
pretty
around
good
it.
graphically, though.
Oh yeah,
a couple of the
they've-
shots, I was like, oh.
They've always looked really
Yeah.
good, and they've always had a lot of imagination and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of cool stuff happening in them. They're one of the most interesting interpretations of a lot of Japanese mythology, I think, in any game outside of that weird, just like tower defense thing that came out last year.
Oh, Kunitsugami.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in that realm.
Yeah.
But again, I don't really. It's too weird and finicky. The other two have been too weird and finicky for me to like get into very much.
Yeah. This one I think is also scheduled for 2026. I'm happy for people that really like the first two games. I'm just not one of them. So
Yeah.
I wish Team Ninja would move on, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, unfortunately. This game is pretty much done. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll move on after this one if it doesn't sell well.
Beating Onimusha to the punch.
Yeah. Yeah, they are actually. Literally. Pun intended. But anyway, there you go. That's Neo 3. Next up, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. Capcom's goofy astronaut with young child android game, Pragmata. We've really got to look at how it plays in this. You really get to see that it's kind of like this third-person shooter where the little girl like jumps in and like buffs your attacks with magic almost. They also provided a sentence finally that really explains it. I'm just going to read it. It is the near future, and protagonist Hugh and his android companion Diana must work together as they make their way through the cold lunar research station. That's pretty much it.
All right.
It takes place on the moon, like Earth's moon.
Where the wizards are.
Right, yeah, where they hide on the other side of the moon. I guess there's still a lot of mystery around this, but this trailer in particular kind of exposed a lot more about it. So they have this sort of symbiotic relationship. It's almost a little bit like BioShock with the little sisters. I kind of getting that vibe from it a little bit.
Or like if Ashley was useful.
Right. This game still feels very, very risky to me. I don't know if it's smart for Capcom to continue on with this, but I love that Capcom is continuing on with this.
Yeah, they can afford some. I mean, Dragon's Dogma 2 wasn't exactly
Right.
going to print money either, but they still did it.
I mean, this game is bizarre. It really is. It's like Megan crossed with like No Man's Sky or something. I don't even know.
But it also, I mean, I get where it comes from. This is Capcom's sad dad game.
Right.
This is coming from God of War.
Yeah.
And Last of Us. This is what they're doing.
Yeah, the girl's gonna die. You're gonna be left
I
forlorn.
don't think she will. But like,
well, she's an android, I guess.
She's an android. So I think she's going to be tied in with the reason you're fighting robots to the point that it'd be very hard to separate her from the thing you need to do in the end. But
Yeah.
I think this is this is basically God of War with astronauts and a robot on the moon. So why not?
I mean, I'll say this. It is definitely the most interesting big-budget game that's on the way right now. I mean, most publishers would never take a risk with a game like this anymore. They just won't.
Or at least they'd attach it to an existing IP.
Right. Capcom's playing with house money.
Like,
though.
there's a world where you make this as an Aliens game.
Right.
And it's Ripley and Newt.
Right.
You know?
No, you're right. Yeah. Brave. But Capcom's in a place where it can be brave. It's printing money. So I just saw that a DLC for Monster Hunter Rise, which is the Monster Hunter before this one, sold 10 million units. 10 million units of DLC for Monster Hunter. Wow.
It's almost
Wow.
like you can just make complete games and people will keep buying
People
shit.
buy them and give you their money. It's funny how that works. So this is
How's
risky.
that going for you, Sony?
Yeah, it's risky, but I admire Capcom for doing this. This game is also coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. It's not just a PlayStation game, just so you know. Next up, we got the first look at gameplay for Silent Hill F, which is Silent Hill that takes place in like 1968 in this little Japanese village. Did you watch this?
Yeah.
What'd you think of this?
It keeps reminding me of Fatal Frame.
Yeah.
Like, I keep thinking, I mean, I know it's just because it's girls in the schoolgirl uniforms, but like,
Yeah.
I keep thinking about Crimson Butterfly.
Yeah.
It looks fine. I don't know where the Silent Hill comes in.
I don't either.
Outside of like creepy thing where world changes.
Well, there's also you're fighting like animatronic dolls or something.
Yeah.
It's like a big part of it. The scene that they show is you fighting like mannequins or something.
Yeah, who knew that James's obsession with his wife's body being translated into mannequins was going to be such a defining element of the series
for the next
going
decades
forward.
of the game.
I don't know. I mean, it looks like a horror game.
The combat in it, I thought, looked kind of janky.
Yeah, it's Silent Hill.
Yeah, I mean kind of like
You're never supposed to be that.
It's kind
good
of a
at
feature
fighting.
and not a bug.
Yeah.
I mean,
Outside of the one where you were like the veteran trucker,
right?
Like, you really have never been a fighter in this series.
No, it's true. Yeah, these enemies, like I don't typically like fighting robots in games. It's hard to build a connection with them. This is kind of like a robot. I hope like all the rank and file enemies aren't like this, but the bosses look pretty cool. That's for sure. It is gory AF. I'll say that much. They don't pull any punches in this game, which is good. And then the biggest surprise of all was that it is coming soon. It launches on September 25th. So
Almost everything in this, if it wasn't coming out next year, it's coming out in September.
Seriously, September looks like it is going to be a banger, man. So many good big games coming out in September this year. I feel like a lot of this state of play, Matt, was the big exhale from Grand Theft Auto 6. It was like, okay, like let's get all this done. Let's get all these games out before it's too late. And so it does feel like there's just been this rush to get games out before GTA, which means at the end of this year is just going to be incredible. But this game in general, like the combat looked pretty janky to me. I could be wrong until I get it in my hands and I could really feel it. It is kind of zany watching Japanese schoolgirls hack a bunch of stuff up. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just change your outfit before you went and did this stuff, but okay. To be fair, it is kind of a spin-off of Silent Hill. It doesn't sound like this is kind of like official canon stuff. But yeah, Silent Hill,
whatever that means in Silent Hill.
Right?
Anymore.
Yeah, whatever it means in Silent Hill.
I'll
You're
take
right.
this as canon over Downpour.
No, you're right. I'd agree with that for sure. Yeah, so this is coming on September 25th. This is PC, PS5, and I think it's Xbox Series. I think it is. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe someone in chat can double check that. Next up, this is a pretty big state of play. Mortal Kombat Collection. The next playable documentary from Digital Eclipse is Mortal Kombat. It includes up to the 4th game for a total of 20 entries in the franchise, which blows my mind.
It's a lot of versions.
That's a lot of versions.
I'm guessing it's almost every console version, the handheld versions.
Yeah.
Maybe like Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Might
Yeah.
be. That N64 thing, it matched all of them up.
Yeah, probably.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 4 Gold.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are very complete.
Yeah.
When they put their collections
These
together,
are amazing, by the way. If you haven't tried one of these yet, there's
Yeah.
been, 3 of them so far?
Yeah.
Something like that. Was
The
the first
Atari
one
one.
Lamasoft? No, Atari was first, right?
Yeah.
Then Lamasoft.
Yeah, and they did the Karateka
Right.
one,
Yep.
which was very good.
This is the 4th one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are great. So they're playable documentaries. You watch these interviews with the people who worked on the products, and then you get to play the product. That's basically how it works. It's an ingenious idea. I can't believe it took forever for someone to come up with it, but
Yeah, and I imagine, I don't think it took anyone that long to come up with it. Knowing a couple people who work on them, like it took that long for someone to agree to do them.
really?
Like there's just it was very hard to get this off the ground with like people who were funding it.
Huh.
I mean, not anymore because they were big hit.
Now,
the
yeah.
Atari thing was a big hit, and they've all done well. But like this is not a cheap production.
No.
You gotta get crews, and you gotta go,
You're
and
right.
you gotta do what we used to do. You
Right.
gotta basically make a TV show,
Yeah.
basically, and put it on a disc
And have it all fit together
have
with
it
the
all
games.
put together, yeah.
Yeah.
And they dig up, on the Karateka, they were you could play like prototypes that were out of Jordan.
People didn't even know they
they're out of Jordan
existed.
Mechner's like basement. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. Like
I'm sure they'll drain the vault for this, too.
if you love Mortal Kombat, this is gonna basically take you through. I guarantee you'll be stuff in this. Even if you're a huge Mortal Kombat fan, there'll be stuff in here you've never seen before.
Definitely. Yep, for sure. They'll have fatalities you haven't seen, all kinds of stuff like that.
And
These
because
things are really cool.
and because of the nature of some of this, like you're gonna probably Ed Boon's gonna like open the vault to some of it.
He will be a part of this for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think this looks awesome. I don't think they announced a release date for this, though, did they?
No, I think they said this year.
Okay.
They didn't have a specific. You should put it around Halloween, I would think.
Yeah, that would be a good bet. And then here's the game that Matt was slagging a little bit earlier. Romeo is a Dead Man. It's the next game from Suda51 and Grasshopper Manufacture, which had disappeared.
Yeah, they're back. He even says in the thing after this, like, we're back.
Yeah, I mean, they had been gone for like over a decade.
I'm not sure what to make of this, just because I thought it was actually disappointing when it starts like this, and then when it gets the gameplay, it's just like the most generic 3D hack and slash game you've ever seen. But then the montage at the end shows all this crazy shit. So I'm like, where was that?
I mean, that's
trailer?
Suda, man.
I guess.
I mean, that's what he does. Like, he doesn't care about mixing up art styles that don't make sense and don't look right together. There are some times that I consider Suda kind of a hack, honestly. He's kind of the guy that just, like, blends a bunch of stuff together and is like, that's art. It's like, no, it's really not.
Sometimes there's an element of, there's that old saying of, like, you got to know the rules before you break the rules.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a point at which I'm kind of like, I'd like to see Suda not break the rules for once.
Right.
And see what he can
What
do
happens.
inside the
confines.
inside the parameters of
A normal
formalist construct,
Right.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And then because like this, as soon as this cuts to gameplay here, it just looks like the most generic thing yet another hack and slash character action game that looks like all the others.
This first shot looked like Intergalactic.
A little bit.
That
yeah.
one little gameplay snippet they show at the end of the trailer for Intergalactic, that first shot looks a lot
And you can see
like
little flashes in here, but like honestly, the thing I see the most in here is Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yeah, it's just hyper
And
violence.
I just don't care. And then at the end, they show like the montage of all the weird, there's 2D gameplay and pixel art
Right.
gameplay, and I'm like, that's interesting to me. But it's like clearly it must be a smaller part of the game, I guess.
I mean, Suda
I
kind
don't
of
know,
does
man.
this, like these little interludes where you go into this
Yeah.
different art style and like.
But it's just like so much of this is like it just makes me think of like, what was that one that
Mad World, the black and white ultra gory one.
No, I'm not even being that nice. Well, it was a couple years ago.
Here's what you're talking about, though. Like all these little snippets.
It was a couple years ago. I think it was actually what's his name? Itagaki's company. It was like Death.
Devil's Third.
No, not Devil's Third. It was more recent than that. It was, the mercenary team, and they're running around with like shooting.
Oh God, yeah, I remember. I know what you're talking about.
Death may die,
Something
or
like that.
something like that.
Devil may care. Or, yeah, it's something with die in it.
Let it die.
Let it die.
Is
I
that
think
it?
That's it. Yeah.
Mr. Vincent says, "Let it die."
I think that's what it
it's
was.
Not Killer
yeah.
is dead.
No.
But yeah, they all sort of have the similar sort of edgy title that doesn't tell you anything.
Suda's like, I can just make a game really violent, and that's all I have to
Yeah.
do. And to me, that's not good enough. So I think he's overrated a little bit as a developer. Maybe he'll prove me wrong with this game, but
I don't know. And there's a lot of things where I'm just like, all right, and
it's coming in 2026. So it's still a ways away. And his games usually get delayed, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's delayed as well.
yeah.
It's good to see Grasshopper back. I liked that studio back in the day. Maybe they can keep going and make some more stuff that's more interesting to me, but Romeo is a dead man, not really tripping my trigger. Although I think a lot of people would probably look at that game and be like, Shane would like that. But no, you're wrong. Next up, a game that I do like and I'm very excited about.
Wanted Dead.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ashes in the Hourglass got that one.
Okay. The game that I am interested in is Bloodstained, The Scarlet Engagement, the prequel to Bloodstained, which is...
Bloodstained. We have Castlevania at home, is what they should have called this
this
one.
is like... So the first Bloodstained wasn't a blatant ripoff of Castlevania. This is.
I mean, it was Order of Ecclesia.
Yeah.
It was an Order of Ecclesia clone. This is just Castlevania.
Straight up Castlevania. And I am glad. I am
Although
totally
weirdly, I don't think this looks as good graphically.
It's not cell shaded. They use just normal looking visuals. So it's like polygonal, but it's 2D still. And in the last game, I think it was polygonal, but they were cell shaded visuals.
A little more style to it.
Yeah, there was a lot more style to it. So this is definitely a more basic looking game. But I loved Bloodstained, man. I played it. I can't remember tell you how many hours I spent on it. So I am super hype for this game. And again, it is a prequel. They kind of need it to set up the universe of this franchise because they just kind of jump straight into it with the first Bloodstained. This one's going to explain where people have come from, how the events of the first game happened. They needed to do this. So I keep hoping that somehow Iga and Konami will make up, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Shocking amount of curry in this
presentation.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is it. This is Iga's Castlevania now.
Yeah, this looks like the closest we're going to get to that 1999 game. Mm-hmm. Like that was, the missing game from his Castlevanias.
Yeah. I'm excited for this. It is... I don't think they announced the release date for this other than like 2026.
2026 is all they said.
But it's coming to all platforms as well, which is good. And it's called Bloodstained, The Scarlet Engagement, another 2.5D Castlevania spinoff from the master Iga. And then the game that they led the whole damn thing off with, I have no idea why, was a brand new Luminous game called Luminous Arise. And look, I love Luminous. Was the first one PSP? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I played the living crap out of it on PSP.
I mean, I recognized that line as soon as it went across
so
the
did
screen.
I. But it's it was a niche game then. It's a niche game now, and they kicked off the whole thing with it.
Well, it doesn't have to be. See, that's the thing is you never know when this niche game is going to blow the fuck up.
That's true.
That's what we would have said about Guitar Hero too the first time we got our hands on it. In fact, it was exactly what we said about it. And all of a sudden, it was the biggest thing in the fucking industry for like 3 years, and then it went away, and no one ever talked about it again. But
well, Luminous kind of did that too. It hasn't been around for a
big
while.
deal, but Luminous was never a big deal because it was on a platform nobody fucking cared about.
Yeah.
So he put this on something like this, and I mean, it looks really cool. It's an attraction thing. It catches your eye.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it is a music and rhythm based puzzle game.
Yeah, imagine Tetris, but you got to be on the beat.
Right.
It was a lot of fun, as I recall. And this looks cool. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, I guess you started because it's got the most compelling visuals.
Yeah,
and it got the cool music. It pulls you in.
Yeah. But to start the whole thing off with, I was surprised.
I mean, again, like I just said, it starts the whole thing off with a compelling visuals and some good music, and then you go from there. I mean, I guess you kind of maybe worry that's like, oh, is the whole thing going to be puzzle game? Right. But it's like, I didn't think that for a second because a lot
of people don't know what Luminous is.
No,
we do, but a lot of people
don't have to.
Right.
Like, you just watch this and it's like, what the fuck is it? It's crazy. It looks cool.
I mean,
Sounds cool.
I can't remember a puzzle game kicking off a press conference for any of the big three.
No,
maybe ever.
But a puzzle game never looked like this.
No, I mean, Luminous is a special case. And Mizuguchi, good to see him again, although he looks...
Beats the shit out of starting with Wii Music.
He reminds me of how old I am.
Yeah, I didn't realize Mizuguchi, because the last time I saw Mizuguchi in person, it was probably like 20 years ago. Right. I did not realize he's 60 now.
And he looks very young for his age.
He does.
So, yeah.
But
now...
Yeah, I did not realize how old he was because like when we would go to Japan... Like, we
were friends
with him. Yeah. We knew him. Like, Justin Keeling, one of our editorial guys, was really good friends with him.
Yep.
Like, roommates with him at some point or something like that. Like, and so we'd always hang out with him and see him. And like, I had no idea he was that much older than us.
Yeah,
like, he was just
that whole time he was.
He was just like a young
because he looked
dude.
like he was 20.
Yeah, he looked 10 years younger than he was.
He really
at
did.
The time.
So anyway, that's Luminous Arise. That is coming fall of 2025. It's coming to PC, PS5, and PlayStation VR 2. Might be cool to play that in VR, actually.
Maybe.
But maybe not.
You'll last about 5 minutes.
Right. Next up, Baby Steps. This game that I've been rooting for forever. We finally got the release date for it. It is coming out on September 8th. This is literally a walking simulator where you control both legs on this dude, and you have to walk. And that's all there is to it. It's just like this infuriating thing where everything should be easy, but it's not. It's definitely like Getting Over It. That game where the guy plays with like a sledgehammer and a pot.
It's a more direct sequel to Quap.
Right.
Which is the previous game by those people.
Yeah. And this is going to become a streaming sensation. I can pretty much guarantee it.
A lot of this game just angers me.
Do you like games like this?
No, I mean, no, but also like not the concept of the game. I think it looks annoying.
The visuals are kind of.
I hate the character designs.
Yeah.
I hate the graphics. I hate the animation.
I agree.
That guy in particular.
Yeah, me too.
I hate what he's wearing. I hate how it look. I hate how I can smell everything in this game. It's all very cringy, and I mean it's intentional. I think, but it doesn't seem pleasant.
It does not. It does seem pretty funny, though. Some of the jokes are legitimately funny that they've written into their trailers. But I agree with you. I think the graphics look terrible.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of the one brother in Myst. Remember, there's the two brothers trapped in the books, and one of them looks like that, and the other is like a different looking guy.
No, I don't remember.
That guy turns out to be evil, in the book.
Yeah.
But he looks like the evil brother in Myst.
This game is infuriating, you can just tell already. But that's the fun of it. Watching people get angry as they play it. That's why it will be a great streaming game. But I think we need more games like this, even though I may not necessarily enjoy them all that much.
No one is going to buy this game.
You don't think so?
I think it's going to be a huge flop.
You don't think it'll even catch on with like streamers and all that?
Might be something people watch streamers play, but that's not going to help the people that made the game.
Okay. Next up, a game that Matt also mentioned earlier, hoping that I was counting it as one of the good Western games that we were going to talk about, and I did, and that is Sword of the Sea. This is the next game from a bunch of people who worked on Journey and Abzu and Pathless. Basically, all games like Journey. These very docile, laid back.
This almost looks like it'd be in the same universe as
Journey. I mean, it looks like it is Journey. Like Journey 2, basically. Except now you can electric boogaloo on the snowboard or whatever. And there's Abzu right there, too. The whole
it's kind of mixing everything they've done
together.
So far.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this game. And we finally have a release date.
Giant Squid is always a good time.
Yep. It is coming out on August 19th, 2025. It's also going to be on PlayStation Plus as one of the games. It's
yeah,
on
I
the
thought
higher
it was
tier.
interesting that they seem to have settled on a term for their own version of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Game Catalog.
Right.
Game Catalog is Game Pass
Right.
for Sony now.
That's their little catchphrase, yeah. Yep. So
Kept saying it over and over and over.
for good reason. This game's going to be a part of it day one on August 19th. So I'm excited for this game. If you liked Journey, you should definitely be excited for this game too. It's from basically the same people. Not all the same people, but a lot of them. And it is from the same people that made Abzu and Pathless. So if you like those games, it is a no-brainer. So again, it's called Sword of the Sea, and it's coming on August 29th. And then just a couple more loose ends to clear up here. They showed another trailer for Metal Gear Solid 3, Delta, whatever.
Delta.
It's so obvious that Konami is trying to convince people that Kojima is still working there. Like this trailer is just all goofy, funny Kojima stuff that he would have put in his trailers. The whole last half of it is all just Ape Escape stuff. I think they're actually doing a pretty good job of acting like Kojima's still there. Like these trailers are actually pretty entertaining and pretty interesting. So I still don't think I'll play this game.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is like just sort of like I'm so curious how all the weird shit from Metal Gear Solid 3 is going to translate to such a photoreal style.
Yeah.
Like
relying on the blurry visuals of the PS2.
the abstraction of that is kind of the key to why you can accept a lot of it, and I have trouble accepting it anyway. I like that first cutscene when as soon as he starts meowing, I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. Like I can't do this to myself anymore.
Yeah.
Very curious. I don't know. Here's this banana costume.
Yeah, and this is coming. Oh, they have a release date for it. I can't remember now. It's August, I think, 28th or something like that.
Sure.
I didn't write it down.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I think it's around there, though. And it's coming to multiple platforms, too. It's not just a PlayStation exclusive. And then the last thing we're going to discuss from the State of Play is they announced the release date for Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is a brand new 2D take on Ninja Gaiden, which is where the franchise came from in the first place. This is launching on July 31st. The big surprise to me is that the ESRB gave this game a teen rating.
This is unusual. I don't really understand that because there's blood in this.
Right.
There's red blood and there's dismemberment. I know it's dismemberment of like demons and robots, but still that usually gets you an M.
Yeah, this is T-rated. It's the first Ninja Gaiden that's T-rated since like the OG one. So I'm pretty excited for this. A 2D Ninja Gaiden. I haven't played one in what feels like 30 years at this point. So I'm raring to give this one a go, even though it's not even made by Team Ninja. They did farm this out to another studio. It's the studio that makes Blasphemous, I think, right?
Yeah, it's Blasphemous. Team Ninja didn't make the 2D ones anyway. So.
That's true. Yep, that's a good point. Yeah, but they are kind of the shepherds.
And everyone forgets,
now.
it started as a beat-em-up.
Yeah.
It was not a 2D action hack and slash.
No, you're right.
It was a beat-em-up in the arcade that was brutally difficult and famously had
that part translated.
Famously had the continue screen where he was going to get cut in half by a saw blade.
All right, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was
the attract screen.
That and
get you to put your quarterback in.
That and Final Fight did the thing where your character's tied up to a burning stick of dynamite. And continue to blow it out.
Yeah,
that was a for some reason a trend at the time. Like, if you don't continue, the game will kill this man.
Yeah, the guilt. So there you go. That's the Sony State of Play. What letter grade would you give this, Matt? And do you change your expectations because it's around E3 time?
No.
Yeah.
I'd probably say it's like a B.
Yeah. I may go B minus. I saw some other people like losing their minds over this, calling it like the best State of Play ever, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I would probably put it in the A realm if we got, I don't know, like a big blowout of
some first party
intergalactic
stuff.
or like whatever. I'm trying.
That's what it needed.
I'm trying to think of what else would be in the pipeline
not
at
much.
this point.
There's not much. Yeah, for me it's like a B minus probably.
Makes you wonder if there was some marathon that was originally in there or something,
and it got cut out or something. Yeah, because there really, other than that 40-second trailer for Ghost of Yote, there was a lot of first party stuff in there.
I mean, there's certainly no AAA.
Right.
I mean, I think Luminous is pretty close to that. I mean, there's a bunch of exclusive stuff.
Yeah, console exclusives. Almost everything. Also notice now they're just like everything's coming to PC.
Yeah.
Like they haven't even given up they've given up the guys now, where they're like,
it's
PS5, and then a month later, and PC.
It's a growth platform. It sells.
They're making money off of it. It's smart. It's just why Xbox is releasing games on PS5. Mm-hmm. Same thing. So there you go. That is Sony State of Play for not E3 2025. The closest thing that we're going to get to an E3 press conference this year. Next up. we're going to make our predictions for the Xbox showcase that is happening on Sunday. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this. We obviously will do the same thing with the Xbox showcase that we just did with the Sony State of Play in our next episode after it's happened. Again, don't forget it's happening on Sunday morning. And just go to sifted.net. We'll have it there. We'll have all the trailers up there pretty much as soon as they're published. You guys know that already. We do event coverage unlike anybody else. But anyway, we're going to make our predictions for the Xbox event that is happening on Sunday. Matt, what is your first prediction?
I think it's probably time to acknowledge the existence of Forza Horizon 6.
Yep. I mean, it used to be every 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, this game is probably done and probably coming out this year would be my guess.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think it's next year.
How come?
I think they've had to be all hands on deck for Fable for a while
Yeah,
now.
maybe.
But I think it's probably far enough along that you could show it and say, like, here, this is what it is, this is where it's going to take place, then you'll see it in like a year and a half.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out this year at all.
I would be very surprised if it came out this year.
I feel like there's different teams working on those products.
I think there were. I think they're all on Fable now.
All hands on deck now.
I think Forza Horizon probably got put on hold to make sure Fable got done in some kind of timely manner, and I would argue that a lot of people would say it wasn't done in a timely manner.
Yeah, it's been in development for a
been a
long
while.
damn time, man. It better be good. That's all I gotta say. My first prediction, I feel like is just a no-brainer. That it's just definitely going to happen, and that is that they will finally announce the Xbox handheld that they have partnered with Asus. Is that how you say it? Asus or Asus?
I think it's Asus. I think
Asus?
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, that they
Because
partnered.
I instinctively say it Asus, and I know that's wrong.
Yeah, so they've partnered. This trailer, Asus has already put it out.
Might be Asus. I don't know.
It might be.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
I'm honestly not sure how to pronounce it, but they already put this trailer out that shows the Xbox handheld. Microsoft has not confirmed it officially on its end yet. However, it did confirm that it put its own device that it was working on internally on hold or on ice. So that's because they're already working with Asus on this, and I think it's pretty much guaranteed that that is going to be announced at the Xbox preview event on Sunday. And I think Microsoft will continue to do this. I don't think Microsoft will ever release its own handheld that it produces. Why would it? Why not let the guys who have been doing it, that already have the production line set up, let them do it and just make money off of it? So, and then reap the rewards as people buy software for that hardware from you. So, I think we'll see the Xbox handheld, and I think people will mostly be disappointed because it's not going to look much different from a frickin' Steam Deck. Matt, what's your second prediction?
The second prediction is that Everwild is actually a game now.
Okay. And I think we've been hearing a little bit of rumblings that, one, it wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
they
think
men- they
6 months
mentioned it.
ago, yeah, we
They
heard.
mentioned it in one of their things recently.
So we know it's still alive.
So I think we might actually get to see what it is.
Yeah.
Like there's a game here.
Because this trailer, I think, is from like 2019
Yeah.
or 2020 or something. And we've run it I don't know how many times here on GameFace. And they put this out, and this kind of hinted at what the game was going to be.
There was another one.
The first
recently.
trailer didn't tell you anything.
No, there was another one recently.
For this game?
Yeah, they mentioned it recently.
Oh,
It was
you mean
something.
a mention. I think you're talking about a trailer.
I can't remember.
There's only 2 trailers for this so far. There's a
Yeah.
debut, which doesn't tell you anything. and there's
After this one, they did an interview where they literally said, we don't know what the game is.
I think
yet.
you're right, actually. Yeah.
They basically built the world and are like, there's probably a game in here somewhere. Let's try to find it. Which seems like not how you do that.
That
but-
also seems like the way that Rare does things, because
Yeah.
it's notorious for
Yeah.
delaying games and not getting games done on time. I'm interested to see what this game has become.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if it might have some of the elements from Cameo in it, because Cameo, it feels like maybe it's a little bit of a precursor to this, where you have like just tons of creatures and like how you interact with them was kind of the crux of what Cameo was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they finally figured out what Cameo was supposed to be with this game. We'll see. Cameo ended up not being good.
And Vincent also notes that Everwild was in Rare's holiday card.
That's
last
right.
year.
That's right. Yeah, and there was another game in there too that people still haven't figured out what it is. Or wait, that was the image that they sent to Reggie for his retirement, actually.
Yeah.
There's an image hidden in that thing that they sent to Reggie, and we still haven't figured out what that game is. So there's some stuff coming from Rare still, which is good, because I'm sick of them working on Sea of Thieves for the last freaking decade. And then my last prediction for the Xbox showcase on Sunday is the first look at the next Halo. People may not realize it has been like 4 years since Halo Infinite came out. Can you believe that? 2021, Halo Infinite came out. It's hard to believe. So they're way overdue to show the next Halo.
Yeah, well, they got to figure out what they're going to do to save it.
I hope they figured something out. That's all I got to say. But I do think we'll get at least a teaser trailer, some CG thing, something for the next Halo. Because we are due. It's been 4 years. I also think that probably Gears of War E-Day, they'll announce that that'll coming before the end of the year. I think that'll launch sometime this year.
E-Day?
E-Day.
That's next year.
You think so?
They said
Have they announced that already?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're right.
Next year is the anniversary.
Right. They did.
That's the 20th anniversary.
That's right. Okay. So anyway, there you go. Those are our predictions for the Xbox event on Sunday. And like I said, we'll have it up on Sifted on Sunday, and we'll be back here talking about it.
I think the Halo announcement is going to be a different Halo announcement.
Like what?
Master Chief Collection on PlayStation.
I can see that too. Like I can see both of that happening. Like doing a Halo section of the thing.
I think it's going to be a very long time before we see a new Halo game.
Really?
A very long
like
time.
10 years or something, you think?
Yeah.
I will agree that I feel like they need to reinvent it. But I think 4 years is probably enough time to figure that out.
Was enough time to make a Black Panther game.
Well, here my point is like, I think they'll just put out like a CG trailer. I don't think they're going to show the game. They'll be like, here's what we're thinking for the next Halo, and here's just some CG piece that we paid some trailer house to make for $200,000 or whatever.
I get, but what's the point? It's just like, okay, another shot of Master Chief in a pod.
Somebody just asked me about Halo in Ask Shane Anything like 2 weeks ago, and I basically said like it's dead. Like, and the reason it's dead is because the multiplayer kept it alive, and no one cares about the multiplayer anymore. It's like the people play it for 2 weeks and they move on, where they used to play it for the whole year.
Yeah, well, it's because it was what it was. It was of a time, and if you update the multiplayer to play like a modern multiplayer game, it doesn't feel like Halo anymore.
Yeah,
it's over. It's dead. You can let it go.
I agree.
And the only thing to do with Halo, I think, is to transition it into a single-player focused campaign experience.
Yeah, that's when Halo's at its best.
Make it a story-driven game and call it. You're not going to get infinite multiplayer out of this anymore, and you should accept that.
Yeah, other games have eaten your lunch at this point.
Yep.
It was an inflection point in time.
Yeah, it
Halo
was of its time.
Yeah,
and it's like, I mean, but at this point, it's like trying to bring back Unreal Tournament.
Yeah,
like you got to let it go.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's just one topic left, and that is the lightning round. And actually, this lightning round isn't even really a round. It's a lightning topic.
A lightning strike.
It is a strike. That's a good way to put it. There's only one thing in the lightning round because I had to include it in this show because it was literally mind-blowing. And really, it's just an excuse for me to show it to you. And that is the Unreal Engine demo of The Witcher 3. That they showed. Witcher 4, I'm sorry. And I actually forgot to...
After all this time, we are so used to that being The Witcher 3 is basically one word now in your brain.
Right. I've said it so many damn times. But at first, people were confused and thought that this was a demo. Like, there was messaging sent out there that not only was it really the game, but it was the game playing on a base PS5.
Yeah.
That kind of made the rounds, and then after a couple hours, they were like, no, this is actually not the game at all. This is just like best case scenario in our wildest dreams what the game could look like.
Well, they'd say outright it's running on a standard PS5.
That's what they say, but later on they recanted it and asked the press to like
that's
go
not
back
how I read
on
that.
It. Really?
No, I read that as like, we can't promise any of this will be in The Witcher 4.
Really?
Yeah. Because that basically they didn't want to commit to any of this stuff actually being in the game because it's a. But
it's still all far away.
I mean, obviously, it's very far away. But I also don't believe you record dialogue for something. I mean, she's going to have a quest in the game where she deals with a shady merchant to fight a Manticore.
Yeah,
like, I can tell you that for no question.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this town. Maybe not in this situation. Maybe whatever. But yeah, mostly they're showing off what they've done with Unreal 5 to turn it into kind of like. More efficient way to display a bunch of stuff. It's a tech demo.
They actually mentioned the stutter in that event.
Yeah, they like a lot of their tech upgrades here are to combat that.
The stutter. Yeah.
And they very intentionally say, notice how we are flying through the world and not stuttering and how smooth it is and stuff. And 100%. I mean, if this is really running on PS5 hardware in even half a capacity.
It was mind-blowing.
And they very specifically call out in the town near the end where they're like, there is room here in overhead to put a game in here. Like they're like this is not taking all the horse. You can put actual game logic and gameplay in here. There's a lot of overhead left for this. It's very impressive. And because I am who I am, that sword never clips through her cape even once.
Yeah.
phenomenal.
5 stars.
The cape never clips through the horse.
Right.
The cape never clips through her legs.
That's why I think it's
phenomenal.
fake. That's why I think it's
I don't
fake.
think of all the things in this that I don't believe are going to be in the final game of The Witcher 4, it's that.
Right. But see, here's the thing. They keep showing, like, the hands with the controller. Like,
no, this is real. This is
but
a
if
real
you look
thing.
down below there, it says technical presentation, not actual
Yeah, because they're
gameplay.
not guaranteeing it's in the final game 3 years from now. That's all it is.
There's definitely a big
They do not
dust
want
up
you,
about
They
this
do not want
online.
you coming back when The Witcher 4 comes out and saying that dwarf isn't standing there next to that stall with that fucking axe.
'Cause
That's
somebody
all
will.
it is. That's all that is. They're just saying we don't have to put all this in the game, and you don't get to scream at us about false advertising because that guy isn't in that hamster wheel in the final version of Witcher 4. That's all it is.
If there's one developer that should be hyper careful about that, it is CD Projekt
Yeah, you can
Red.
see why. I mean, this is basically the same thing as that Cyberpunk demo. They're like,
Right.
no, like just this is a demo
Yeah.
of our tech and what's happening here, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of this. I don't think they're going to rebuild this town again.
Yeah.
There's something resembling this town, but again, the content. That's what they've seemed to be very clear about. It's like you do not get to hold us to keeping all of this in the game, whether it's this outfit or that hairstyle or the colors or that character or any of this shit. It was just all put in here. It was what they made, and I imagine most of it will be.
Arabic said those puddles. Yeah, that one shot where they throw the dude in the puddle and the puddle
Yeah.
splashes.
The
Oh my
puddle
God.
gate.
I mean, this whole thing is just insane.
Oh yeah. I mean, the NPC behavior is fascinating. I mean, that again, this is really the next gen step up of like where she knocks into the guy and he spills all his apples, and all of a sudden the pigs and the children come running to grab
Right.
the apples and steal the food. That's great.
Yeah.
Like all this shit where the guy has a weird haggling thing with a fishmonger is like. Yeah, that's exactly what you wanted. You know, they put these guys on the stage, and all of a sudden the NPCs start coming over to watch the show. That's exactly having open world characters be more reactive to what's happening in the world. That's exactly the next step you need. The foliage thing they show where you can model individual needles because they use like basically a nanopixel thing.
Yeah.
Really smart, like really clever, and it gets so much more out of the Unreal Engine. Because it can do, it's like they basically realized they had to come up with a different way of doing this, other than how they, LOD doesn't work anymore.
It really doesn't.
The way it used to.
I mean, it's been proven it does not work.
Yeah, so they have, because you can't brute force this kind of fidelity through what we used to do with the Unreal Engine 3.
Yeah.
And so they kind of looks like they kind of solved a lot of that stuff.
This game looks incredible.
It's incredible.
It really just look at that shot right there.
Yeah, and
It's
they
really
said
insane.
there's 100 mesh skeleton. There's actual all doing their own thing right there.
They all are doing their own
This
thing.
in the video right here is where they say there's still overhead here for you to put actual game logic and gameplay in here. Like we are not using the entire everything. It's not so expensive that you can't fit a game in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very impressive. I mean, again, if anyone can do it, it's these guys.
I agree. I mean, look what they got to run on the Switch too.
And this is where they're running through all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, notice there's no hitching.
Yeah,
Notice
and there's nothing drawing in either.
And obviously, you're gonna see it. Will this hold up in the final game? Who fucking knows?
We'll see.
But like, it's very promising.
I'm surprised how much they're
thing to show.
showing this game so early.
Well, again, it's not the game.
I get that, but still, it's like we got another 3 or 4 years to wait for this thing, and they're blowing it out already.
And this is not any kind of blowout. I don't think. We don't know anything.
I mean, they're getting people real excited for it.
Well, they're showing the tech. This is a tech. You might as well show the tech with something people care about, and then they show this city that we've never seen in any of the games before. That's from the books.
Look at that.
The mountains in this thing are incredible.
Everything looks incredible. All of it. Yeah. So there you go. That's a wishful thinking for The Witcher 4.
Yeah.
Hopefully it ends up looking that amazing. It would be incredible. One of the best looking video games ever released by...
I look forward to the frame-by-frame comparisons of the puddles and whether the apples shine the same way when they roll on the ground, and it's going to be infuriating.
Yep. Well, we've come to the end of the show, which means there's just one thing left to do. Matt, you don't need your headphones. No. We have something special going on today. So in honor of our 10th anniversary, we are doing Name That Game Tune, brought to you by Soundwizardry.com differently. So I found a pretty cool thing to do for today's episode. I am going to play samples from Matt and I reviewing a game on GameFace. And you guys need to figure out what game we're reviewing. You're not playing this time. This is only just for the people. I think this is a pretty cool thing to do for our 10th anniversary. So if you are a hardcore GameFace Sifted fan, you should have a huge advantage in this Name That Game tune. Before we get going, though, of course, I want to thank Soundwizardry.com, not just now for sponsoring this episode of GameFace, but for sponsoring us for the last couple years. They are amazing partners. They are great people to work with. Glenn and Posse, if I could hire them, I would. If I had work for them to do, I would hire them and I would have them do it because they are absolutely incredible. They have worked on gigantic projects, but here's the thing, like nothing is too small either. He has helped me fix the podcast audio for GameFace, and then he goes back to working on like the game of the year for the year. Like it's literally anything that you're working on that requires audio, hit him up. Go to soundwizardry.com. Amazing people, amazing skill. You will not be disappointed. Hit them up. They will make your project sing. So Matt, you just sit this one out, and you can put the headphones on if you want to hear the samples. If you want to.
I know what I sound like.
Okay. But anyway, so I'm going to play 5 samples of Matt and I talking about a video game, and you guys need to guess the name of the game. Swan Senpai is saying, just for today, can we all play? Okay, I'll let that happen. So even if you've won this year...
It's a different knowledge set.
It is. Even if you've won this year, you can play this game. So everybody is in the pot here. This is pretty interesting. It'll be...
I used to know people who did this with Siskel and Ebert.
Oh, really?
They pull lines from reviews, and you had to guess what movie they were reviewing.
Ah, crap. Hold on one second. I got to fix this because the chat that I had to send to the other one, I have to send to this one as well. So just give me 1 second. And I should... Yep, there you guys are. All right. Are you guys ready to play Name That Game tune brought to you by SoundWizardry.com?
Well, they can't tell you because it's in slow mode.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, I should have mentioned a couple things before we get going. That the chat is in slow mode still. So you can only enter one game title every 60 seconds. So don't just start spamming the chat with a bunch of random game titles. You will not win. And then the other thing is if you win, you win a PC game. So if you have no interest in a PC game code, you don't know anyone that you can give it to, don't play. Don't take the code away from somebody who's going to be able to enjoy the game. So I think everyone can understand that. All right. Are you people ready to play Name That Game tune with GameFace? We'll see how this goes. Here is the first sample in 3, 2, 1.
This is not a sequel to the PlayStation games.
Right. All right, there's the first one. Let's see if that gets any guesses. They'll become more obvious as we go, just like every episode of Name That Game tune. Let's see if we have any guesses on that first one. No Man's Sky, no.
That'd be too easy.
Yeah.
Just me yelling at you.
Astrobot, no. Demon Souls PS3, no. God of War 2018, no. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Recoded 360.
Did we even talk about that one?
Well, I don't think we've reviewed that one. Valkyrie Elysium, no. Definitely not Ridge Racer. We've never reviewed a Ridge Racer. Spider-Man PS4, no. Kingdom Hearts 3, no. Any other guesses before we go on to the second? Final Fantasy VII Remake, no. Halo, no. Khalif Twilight, and everybody, you have to name the very specific entry of a franchise. You can't just say
Halo
Resident
1 is
Evil.
a little early for this series.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider predates
Yeah,
Game
we did
Face.
not review. Remember, we reviewed this game, so keep that in mind. That gives you an idea of the time
It was in
frame
the last
for the
10
game.
years.
Yeah. Everybody Golf, no. RE2 Remake, no. Visions of Mana, no. Tekken 8, no.
It was nice to see Hot Shots Golf back.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, they had already shown that like a
Yeah.
few weeks ago, but I'm all about it. I love Hot Shots Golf. No More Heroes 3, no. Any other guesses? Call of Duty Cold War, no. AJ getting specific. Any other guesses? Medieval Remake, no. RE4 Remake, no. Armored Core 6, no. Final Fantasy VII Remake, nope. Any more guesses for our 10th anniversary celebration? Escape from Tarkov, no. God of War, no. Again, too quick Capri. Don't forget, you have to name the specific God of War. If maybe you thought the first one, I'm just saying, just don't forget. Final Fantasy Rebirth, no. All right, can we go to the second one? Going once. Going twice. All right, God of War 4, no. Guess there is no God of War 4.
I mean, it's technically 2018.
Yeah, is it? Or will they make a God of War 4 someday? Who knows? Okay, here's the second one. Not Demon Souls. I gotta turn up. Turn it up.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah, okay. I thought you might be.
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Nope, not Immortals Phoenix Rising. Okay, here's the second sample in 3, 2, 1.
Just a couple of quest lines that they don't dead end, but they get weird and confusing, and how to get out of them is sort of technical.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually don't know what I'm talking about.
Ace Combat 7, no. God of War 4 could be revealed tomorrow, huh? Greek Metroidvania.
The 2.5, there's a 2.5D Metroidvania God of War coming apparently, which would probably be qualify as God of War 4 if they wanted it to be.
Final Fantasy 16, no. Kingdom Hearts 2, no. This is cool, though, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want to do it every week, but it's fun to do it this one time. Elden Ring, no. Demon Souls, I think that's the third person that's guessed Demon Souls. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, no. Any last guesses? Xenoblade Chronicles X, no. Cyberpunk 2077, no. Mass Effect Andromeda, no. Skyrim, nope. Any more guesses?
Quests that don't really go anywhere. What is a game I think that about? I can't pin it down.
Armored Core, no. Evil Within, no. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, no. It's not Horizon Forbidden West. I don't even know if that was your guess, but it's not. I'll just tell you that. Infamous Second Son, nope. Resident Evil Village, not it either. Lego Horizon, no. I think we get more guesses in this than we do on the music ones. Yeah. Okay, that looks like it's it. Here comes the third one. Sekiro, nope. All right, here's the third one. Grand Theft Auto 5, no. Pool of players is bigger. Persona 5, no. Okay, here's the third one. Tench Z, no. Here's the third one in 3, 2, 1.
And we literally set up a fucking campfire in the middle of the dungeon.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I guess we'll just do that here. We're 2 rooms away from a bunch of goblins, but just sleep quiet. Nobody snore, I guess.
Don't say it if you know it. You can write it down.
I do know it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it now.
Not Bayonetta 3, not Dragon's Dogma 2. I'll give it to ETH Demon. It is Baldur's Gate 3. In the future, type the names out. Just don't. I know you're trying to be fast and try to get them in before everybody else, but type the names out in the future instead of just going with acronyms. But yes, it was Baldur's Gate 3. So ETH Demon, you got it. Congratulations. You turn down the headphones here. And I'll play the last 2 samples just for fun. Here's the fourth one.
Unless you're a warlock, you only get spell slots back by long resting.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
And that
as
is a
hell.
pro tip, people. And here's the fifth one. And they're putting these tadpoles in people's eyes. And once that happens to you, you gain almost clairvoyance. The last one, I talk about the tadpole in the eye, which definitely would have given it away. So there you go. Those are the 5 samples. That was fun. I think it was even fun for you. Little change of pace, a little bit different. Congratulations to ETH Demon. Or wait, was it ETH Demon?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Always good to see somebody who is here every week winning Name That Game Tune, brought to you by Soundwizardry.com. Congratulations. Just get at me. You can send me a DM on Sifted here, on Twitch, on Blue Sky, Twitter, whatever. You know how to get at me. Send me a message. And actually, when you send me your message, also include your Steam screen name, because that will remove a step from the process where I'm getting your Steam name. So include your Steam name in that so I can send you a friend invite, and then I can gift you the game. That's the whole thing we have to do every time I give out these games, is I have to make sure that we're friends on Steam first. So if you just send me your friend invite, we can do that first. I'm Dinfire on Steam if you just want to do that, and I'll get your game. A lot of people got it from that third sample. There were lots of Baldur's Gate 3 in there, but he was just faster. Maybe he did win because he typed BG3.
I think he did.
So maybe I shouldn't be slagging you. You may have won because you typed in BG3 instead of
spell it out.
Yeah, I'm a stickler. I'm a journalism major, so. All right. That's going to do it for GameFace 436 and our 10th anniversary celebration of Sifted. Again, thanks to everybody for doing anything. If you've ever helped us in any way, if you've ever liked a post, if you've ever just talked to somebody about Sifted, anything that you've ever done to help us, thank you. All that stuff adds up to get us to our 10-year celebration, our 10-year anniversary. We couldn't have done it without everybody. It really took a village, as the saying goes, to get us to our 10-year anniversary. Thank you so, so much. If you watch this and you're inspired by our first 10 years and you want to be a part of our next 10 years, head to patreon.com/sifted, SIFTD. Go there and pledge. For this month, it's $4 a month. Starting July 1st, it goes up to $5 a month to get all our content early. Again, in July, those exclusivity windows are going to get a little bit shorter. You're still getting a lot of exclusivity compared to other gaming Patreons. And we will spell all this stuff out that I talked about in an article on Sifted so people understand it a little bit better. So we'll message this as June goes on. Again, all these changes aren't happening until July 1st, other than removing the 3-day free trial, which we have done already. So thanks, Matt, for everything, brother. It's been great doing this with you. Like, I feel like everything ultimately worked out the way it was supposed to. It was a little bumpy there at the beginning, like bringing in DK to do E3 at the last minute and all that other crazy stuff that happened. But I think ultimately things usually happen for a reason and work out the way they're supposed to. So thanks, everybody. I feel very lucky to have you guys as the users of my website and our patrons. Like, you guys are all just awesome. You really are. Like, the people who aren't stand out like a sore thumb in our community, and they don't last very long. I don't know if you've noticed it or not. Eventually, they go away because they figure it out. They're like, I don't fit in here. I'm an asshole. Seriously. So anyway, thanks to everybody for everything. It really took everyone help along the way to make this happen. I appreciate it. We'll see you Wednesday. Is that right, you think?
Yeah, I think Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, which still is less than a week away. And we'll see you to talk about some games. We'll talk about the Xbox E3 press event. Whoop, we'll knock a camera over. We'll have a ton of fun. So anyway, everybody, have yourselves a great week filled with awesome games. GameFace and his 10th anniversary celebration is up and out.